Welcome to the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. It's going to be Avengers Assemble for today's episode. Keegan's going to join us in a little bit. Dan Boyle is going to follow in a little bit. And finally, we have Jason Demers on this show. JD is coming on to talk all about the Sharks defense. We're also going to talk about Macklin. How good is Macklin Celebrini? But before we get to Jason Demers, let's talk about Bring Hockey Back. BringHockeyBack.net. That's where you got to go for all your t-shirts, your hockey t-shirts, your Sharks themes t-shirts, and your custom hockey jerseys. Need a hockey jersey for your beer league. Need a hockey jersey for any event. Hockey Back, Bring Hockey Back. That's where you go. Code San Jose Hockey Now for 15% off. So once again, Bring Hockey Back, BringHockeyBack.net. Code San Jose Hockey Now, 15% off.
I had some friends recently tell me that their jerseys got caught up in, delivery from China, is I think where they got them from.
Mm-hmm.
So order with Bring Hockey Back now. All my rink rats at Sharks Ice, let's support Bring Hockey Back. Actually, we might need some filler jerseys for our Turkey Cup, so I'll have to hit them up myself and use the promo code. All right. Let's get right into it, Shangers. Let's not waste any time. Where do you want to start? So much good hockey.
So I just landed from Seattle. I was in Seattle last night at a 5:30 a.m. flight out of Seattle. And so we have kind of a disjointed show. I'm going to be leaving actually in about 30 minutes because I got to get down to Sharks Ice for a very optional practice, but nonetheless, I had to be down there for that. We'll get some kind of update maybe on Michael Misa's injury situation. But anyway, we're having Jason Demers on in about a half hour or so, 20 minutes or so, talk about the Sharks defense. Before we do that, though, let's talk about the Sharks forwards a little bit before we get to JD and Dan Boyle's thoughts on the D. So, okay. So we have a few injuries to talk about first. I'll get those out of the way. So William Eklund, very unfortunately, day-to-day. Not put on IR yet, but he's playing some of the best hockey of his career. But he's out day-to-day for now, hopefully not too much longer. Ryan Reeves, also day-to-day. He is also playing excellent hockey for the Sharks, doing a good job in the fourth line. Not related to the defense, but Nick Leddy, he is slowly working his way back. He's been practicing for days and days. I suspect that he's healthy, but it's just their roster crunch and they're kind of keeping him on IR because they can. Okay, now we have Michael Misa. That's where I'm going to involve Zubair into this. So Michael Misa was supposed to play yesterday in Seattle, but he got hurt in morning skate with a lower body injury. Now, I know a lot of people think that he suffered contractitis and the Sharks are trying to keep him from playing so they can delay their decision. But no, he was supposed to play yesterday. And he's at, I think, 6-7 games, so he's not quite at the 10-game mark yet. So they have a little space with him. But anyway, Michael Misa, the decision is in the air whether to keep him or not. The more that I check around, I think it is in the air a little bit. It's not as maybe certain as it became for Sam Dickinson. And so what do you think about that, Zubair?
I mean, I think obviously contractually he can't go to the AHL, as we know, which I think would be the best place for him in his development. So you're only left with two options at this point. And of the two options, I think he doesn't really have too much more to learn in the OHL. So I think he stays. Obviously, contractually, Sharks have to make some room. And that's something that the Sharks are going to have to figure out. Mike Grier is going to have to figure out. You know, we've talked about it already. I think Michael Misa has already looked better, his first 7 games than Will Smith did in his first 7 games. And you know what? The other thing that I see with the Sharks is he has a lot better insulation this year than Will Smith and Celebrini did last year. There's a better veteran group. Even Eklund now is a bit of a veteran himself. Celebrini is the highest point scorer in the league and looking great as a first-line center. So I think Misa's also got better insulation than previous Sharks lineups the last couple of years. And I think they have the right attitude for him to to continue with the Sharks this season. So I think it's best to leave him up. I believe in his hockey IQ and for him to learn the game with the Sharks. So that's my opinion. Hey, Keegan, what's up, buddy?
Oh,
Hey, guys.
look who we have here.
Joined a little bit late.
So-
How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
Good.
Everyone's good. We are talking Sharks forwards now before Dan Boyle and Jason Demers comes on. Dan is scheduled to come on in about 10 minutes. JD is about going to come on about 25 minutes from now. So, like I said, this is a special Avengers Assemble episode of the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. I'm going to be leaving in 30 minutes, so you guys will get to carry the load. Yeah, exactly.
There goes our captain.
But we
Yeah, right.
are starting, though, to talk about Michael Misa, and it's my belief that the decision to keep him or not is more up in the air than I think it became for Sam Dickinson. I think with Sam Dickinson, in the end, it was fairly obvious they were going to keep him, even if they kept it coy for a while. And Zubair just gave his piece on it. I'll give my thoughts really quickly, and then we'll throw it to you, Keegan. But I think with Michael, the one thing that I'm not seeing yet that we saw with Sam Dickinson is, and you're right, Zubair, that he does look better than Will Smith through whatever 5-6 games, 6 games I think it is. He has more insulation. He has better veterans around him. You could also argue though that the Sharks are a better team, so maybe they can't caddy around a guy all year either. So that's another way to look at it. But I think the main thing though I would say though about Michael is that versus Sam Dickinson is that I don't know if I've seen the improvement from Michael Misa yet that we saw with Sam Dickinson. That bounce back from a really rough game that we really loved about Sam Dickinson, that kind of mental fortitude. I tend to think that it is better for Michael Misa to stay up here because I think he will get better like Will Smith did because he is so smart. But I can see the argument, though, to send him back in the sense that he will get to work on his body, which is a very, very main number one thing he needs to do. And he'll get to do that in OHL, even though he'll be playing a lot of games, but he'll still be able to do that, just develop more. Whereas Sam Dickinson didn't need that part of it, right? Sam Dickinson looks like John Klingberg made a funny joke yesterday. John Klingberg zinged Sam Dickinson. He was like, yeah, he looks older than me. Mm-hmm. And he does.
Yeah, he's been built
John
for a long
Klingberg,
time.
33. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm a little either way about it. I can see if they do send him back, the reasoning for it. But I still think they should keep him. I think he will get better. But I think that as of now, if you just look at his precise play, there's an argument to send him back.
Yeah, I came in late here, so I don't know what Zubair had mentioned. But I think it's... I would keep him. I think he's got versatility enough to stay in the lineup, and the games that he has played, it's not like there's anything that I've seen that you can point to that say that like he's not winning like enough battles or not winning enough to stay. And like what I've liked from him is just he has shown some offensive creativity. There's been, I think, enough of an improvement. Even if it's harder because he's been in and out of the lineup. There's been injury concerns. He hasn't gotten the stick really. He hasn't had that opportunity to really stick for a prolonged period. So I don't know. The moments that I've seen from him, I really liked. So I would want to see more of it. But that's more selfishness than anything. I also don't know if going back is going to do much for him more than anything. That's my biggest concern with him. Is yes, he could work on his frame and add some more muscle. But you could also argue that you can do that in the NHL too. So you have a little more time, obviously, and you can dedicate more time in the OHL than trying to survive in the NHL. But yeah, I don't know. I would say I would want him to stay, but I also understand that if they send him back, I will be a little sad. But I get it. Or if they do the whole like, because they don't have to send him back in 9 games either. That's the other thing. Is like that's just kind of that's like the expected, because that's just when the contract will eat up a year. So, but they could keep him even longer and then play him until the World Juniors and then play him until like the OHL trade deadline and then send him back, kind of thing. So if they really wanted to keep him in the NHL and then get him good experience in the OHL, they could do that. They would just burn a contract year of his ELC, which GMs don't love to do, but they could still do it if they wanted to. So I don't know. I say keep him up. That's just my opinion.
I find it highly improbable that they would burn a year just for that. I don't know. That's
It's happened
GMs
before,
are very
with other prospects.
But unusual. When's the last one? I was trying to think about it off the top of my head.
It was like 7, 8 years ago. I can't remember who it was, though.
Yeah.
But it was a specific
I think
prospect.
GM was roasted, though, right, for wasting a year.
Maybe. But the other thing is with the contract structures and how they're changing, sometimes you just want to get them to their, like, here's your big money for 7, 8 years or whatever, and you eat up, like, all of their 20s when they're the most productive, rather than pushing it out and then get their early 30s in their big contract as well. So there's some argument to say, like, well, yeah, you burn a year, but if you think who he's going to be, you get him locked in early at a lower salary cap. I don't know. Could be worth it. GMs like Jack Hughes is signed to like a ridiculously cheap contract for what he brings, and that's kind of a similar thought. Is he burned through his ELCs so quickly that it was now he's superstar making not superstar money. So yeah,
I think though my number one pushback to what you said, Keegan, though, is. You mentioned that you haven't seen anything on the ice that says he should be sent back, and I feel like I have. I think there's a reason why his minutes have been so limited, and I don't think it's the coach restricting him because coach doesn't like young players or something like that, which I know has been suggested online. So look at that LA game, right, which everyone loves to point to, the 8 shots in 10 minutes. Just watch. I challenge anybody to watch the first period of that LA game and tell me that Michael Misa absolutely belongs in NHL. Just watch that and just watch his shifts and come back to me with that. And I know he got 8 shots later, 4 shots in like a 1 second time frame. That's great. But just watch that first period. And I know we keep using a Will Smith comp, but maybe that's not right though, because this Sharks team is actually suddenly better than that team from last year. It's a different team, basically. So, anyway, let's move on.
Well, just
no worries.
Go ahead.
Two
quick points. So, I guess one thing I would say is the question really is, we agree that his off-puck and off-ice training needs to be professional level for him to develop strength, speed, etc., compete. The question is he going to develop that better in San Jose or in Saginaw? And I think there's a large case to say, like around professional development that the Sharks have, he's likely to develop faster there than going back, just because of organizational structure and facilities, right? So I think that there's a strong case for that. The other thing I would say is, often the best indicator of someone's future behavior is their past. And that's like the data you look to predict outward. And, exceptional status, someone who has been underage and eventually risen to the occasion in every league he's ever played in. And I think that precedence provides enough trust that he will learn the game at the NHL level sooner than later by staying with the Sharks.
Sure, that's fair.
So those are the last 2 points I'd make.
Yeah. I think they should. I understand they don't, though, is all, though. I wanted to talk a little bit about Macklin Celebrini, and we're going to talk a lot, or you guys will,
One more hour,
with
baby.
Boiler and Jason Demers. There's another half hour of the Macklin Celebrini hour.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I've noticed about Macklin that I'm going to kind of track more, last year he was a rookie, and of course he had a swagger, but it was quiet though. You wouldn't hear him talking like in the room as much. This year though, and I'm talking about when media are around. This year though, Macklin is loud. And Macklin, that is not an example of it becoming his room, but coupled with, again, what John Klingberg said after yesterday's game against Seattle, where John Klingberg said that the room is becoming Macklin's. Mm-hmm. And I asked Ryan Warsawski that, and Ryan Warsawski added to that. Ryan Warsawski said that Macklin is fearless, and the guys see that. And couple that with, like I said, what I just said about this quiet swagger becoming a loud swagger, And it makes sense that Macklin Celebrini is doing what he's doing because he's realizing just how good he is, what he can do in this league. That it is indeed, even though he's just 19, last year's a rookie, it wasn't his room, but now it is his room. And so I just find that interesting. There's just kind of a change that you see in players. I saw it with William Macklin from when William Macklin was 18 to now. But William's kind of development was slower in that sense of Macklin gaining that confidence, right? Which I really saw last year and this year. With Macklin, it's a little more, well, last year was a rookie, and now he is a top 5, top 10 player. I did want to add, too, before we get Dan on, that, man, we beat everybody to it with our podcast last week. I got to give us credit for that. The Macklin Celebrini hype train has really... we started it, but everybody has jumped on the bandwagon in the last week, right?
It's exploded now. It's like every time I turn on the TV.
It's exploded after the Islanders game.
It's Macklin on NHL Network constantly now.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
hey, I gotta say though, again, we started it the week before that. After the Islanders game on the pod,
I remember.
We were like, captain next year. He is.
We were like, we believe. We're like John Cusack and say anything. We had the boombox up like Macklin.
You needed a whole episode for Macklin.
Well, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that was a fun episode to listen to. I wasn't on last week. That was I was like, you guys are still going. Like every time I listen back in, I was like, oh, more Macklin talk. More Macklin talk.
And it's not stopping, all right, when Dan and JD come on.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, maybe they want to talk about Macklin. I don't know. They probably
I'm sure they will want to talk about him. So we're kind of running through topics fast because I want to, when we have JD and Dan on, I want to focus a little more on the Sharks' defense, and particularly JD. They're both obviously Dan, Sharks defensemen, great Sharks defensemen. So I think they'll have something good to say about that. But another thing I want to move on when we go past Macklin is I think that we shorted Alex Wennberg. I think we said a couple weeks ago, maybe not having the best season, but I got to look back at all the numbers. But then Alex Wennberg, and I don't think he's going to sustain the offensive production, but then we watch Alex Wennberg hard match against Nathan MacKinnon and actually hold his own in that matchup. And hard matched at home against Nate. So that's the matchup that the Sharks chose against Nathan MacKinnon. And Nathan MacKinnon, his line scored 2 goals in that 3-2 Sharks win, but neither against the Wennberg line. So I want to give Alex a lot of credit here because he has sort of under the radar become the Sharks shutdown defenseman. And I think I talked about it maybe a month ago or so, that talking to people that around the league talk about how kind of underrated defensively Alex is. And I think that was a great example of it. And I bet if we look at some of his numbers earlier this season where maybe he wasn't producing offensively, but he probably had all these hard matchups and we just weren't watching it closely enough and giving him enough credit for it.
So I completely agree with you. But also in the beginning of the season when he wasn't producing offensively, I mean, as a shutdown D guy, I think he was a -7 in like the first 5 games, but he was playing that defensive role. I think what has changed is his line mates. I think Wennberg is
Kurashev.
Yeah, that's true.
And Eklund too. And Eklund started to play. Eklund started to play a lot better. And Skinner looked good last night in that line. But I think what happened now, and Warsofsky talked about it in one of his interviews too, where he's like, let's play in their zone. Wennberg's great at puck protection. He's really good in the boards at protecting the puck and holding on to pucks. I think his line mates learned how to play off of him. I think in the beginning of the season, you saw his line mates a little confused on, how to move off the puck when Wennberg has it, but he will find you. He found Cardwell last night with that great pass. And you just have to kind of open up and trust that he'll find you and he can dish the puck. And so I think to your point, Shang, he was good defensively on the puck all season. I don't think that's changed. I think what's changed is his line mate's ability to play off of him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. He's got guys that are putting the puck in the net more frequently, and he's always been that good playmaker, but there's always been that, like we've talked about before, that leaving you wanting bit of his game. He's not always like he's not going to be your number 1 center. He's like a good middle sixer. So yeah, but he's been proved for sure. Boyles are Boy,
Jesus Christ! It sounds like somebody bringing in a lawnmower.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, my landscapers are here.
Wow, somebody's fancy. He's got landscapers.
Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry about that. My bad. It's all that podcast money I'm making.
Rolling in, baby.
Just in
right.
time to talk about Macklin Celebrini again for another hour.
A whole
Oh,
hour.
let's talk about it for another half hour.
Let's go.
He's awesome. He's awesome. That's it.
He's
Let's
great.
go. He's awesome.
It's great. It's done. Yeah.
He's great. He's great.
But it is great to be watching a team that's winning hockey games. This is like the weirdest moment in 6 years for me. I don't know. It's been a very strange 2 weeks. It's like I'm watching a Sharks team from 15 years ago again, and I love it. It makes me just so happy.
And what's also been fun is like they've been beating good squads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really good teams, keeping 3 of the best teams in the league to 2 goals a game against. And honestly, like, I didn't expect the Sharks to be this good. And consistency matters. Let's see if they can hold it out. But the Mike Greer plan is working very well
I give
right
him
now.
credit. After that LA game, right? And you're like making excuses for LA. You're like, well, that was the last game of their 5-game road trip, and so that's why the Sharks dominated them. Next game against, I think it was New Jersey. Well, they were on a back-to-back. Next game against Colorado. Well, they were also on a back-to-back, and then they played Vegas the night before, and they just keep playing good games, keep stringing good games together. So really have to give them credit. Actually, that leads to my. Unless you guys have any more thoughts about the forwards, we've already talked about Michael Misa. We've talked about Macklin a little bit. We talked about Alex Wennberg. So any more thoughts about any of the forwards before we jump on to kind of the final topic before I leave and before Jason Demers comes on and you guys talk about the Sharks defense? But any more thoughts about forwards?
NHL Player of the Week,
I like Graf.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Kurashev, too. I thought you would have talked about him. I like Graf. I know he's on the 4th line and seeing limited minutes, but I like his work ethic. Shorthanded goal, assist, I guess, the other night.
That was a perfect
last
play.
night.
It was all over. Vince Dunn.
Great play.
All over.
I just think the kid's he's smart, and, with more ice time and with more opportunity, I think he's going to be an interesting player to watch.
Yeah. Good PK for sure. Already the age.
This. Yeah, no, sorry. We talked about it a little bit last week, Boilers. I want to get your thoughts. I noticed Graf is like really good at playing the body, actually, especially on like when he's forechecking. He just has guys run into his chest and he does not let that puck out, as opposed to letting guys fly by. I don't know. It's something I've just noticed about him a lot recently.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be the biggest hit. If you can stop a defenseman that wants to go on the offensive side of things, if you can just stop his momentum, it'll almost kill his desire to. So, for example, if I know I'm going to go on this rush right now, and a forward, just gets a piece of me, it may make me go, you know what? I'll just wait until the next opportunity. No need to, take the extra effort, the extra stride to get back in there. So it discourages defensemen to jump up in the play, and obviously at some point it's going to cause some turnovers, which I've seen. I'm just really impressed with what he's done. Oh boy.
Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
Great Sharks defenseman Jason Demers is jumping on. Talks a little too much, according to Dan Boyle, but we love JD.
Not
NHL
anymore.
Network. Still talking a lot NHL Network and doing a bang-up job of it. So JD is here to talk about the Sharks defense. But before we get there, though, and I got to leave myself in 10 minutes, guys, so just so you guys, I got to get to Sharks.
Where are you
practice.
going, Sheng Peng? Tell us where you're going.
You're going to...
I'm doing the.
I thought you had a Tinder date.
No, not at. If I have a Tinder date at 11 a.m. in the morning, then I'm doing very well.
Hey.
Thanks for the update.
But okay, so Sharks are 5-2-1 in their last 8. So the main topic I want to talk about, or the topic I want to talk about before you guys talk about the defense, is what do you guys think are the biggest elements for the Sharks' resurgence, basically going 5-2-1? My 3 big things. Curious about all of your guys' thoughts. I love their 2-1-2 2-1-2 forecheck, which they started in the Pittsburgh game. More skating, more aggressive. It's really, I think, helped them a lot. It's a good skating team with Macklin, Ty Dellandrea, Barclay Goodrow, guys like that. Guys who are really, we just talked about Colin Graff, guys who are really on top of the puck like that. So I think that's helped them a lot. Create more turnovers, create more pressure on their team, take pressure off of their defense. Number 2, their puck management has been much better since that Utah game. It was ugly in that Utah game. Since then, much better. And number 3, I would say, I don't want to say just one player. I know the obvious player is Macklin Celebrini, but the underrated guy is Dmitry Orlov. I don't think we knew how good he was, and I think he's done a lot for the Sharks defense to stabilize it in all areas. Yesterday, who is it? Brandon Montour tries to split the Sharks D. He gets hip checked by somebody. I look back, of course, it's Dmitry Orlov coming like a Mack truck at Brandon Montour. So anyway, do you guys have any thoughts on just big elements for the Sharks resurgence?
Jason, why don't you lead us off, sir?
Wow, look at me. Look at me leading us off. Well, thanks for having me. I got teacher. I'm looking at Dan Boyle on the screen going, I gotta make sure I'm minding my P's and Q's when I got my
Let me get one
listening. Probably
let me get one thing out, and then we're gonna hear from JD. So I always ask my buddy back home because he watches, and he's like, I'm like, how's the response? Pretty good. He's like, yeah, but one guy's like, he's not happy because it's like what you say is like, seems to be like you're preaching and you're always right. Listen, buddy, whoever you are, I'm just a fucking opinion, okay? I'm an opinion. I'm not right all the time. Probably 90% of the time I'm right, but I'm just an opinion,
95.
okay?
95.
So 95. Whoever you are, it's called a fucking podcast.
Yeah.
It's called an opinion.
It's one of the
it doesn't
5
mean
boxes.
I'm right. Keegan could be just as right as I am. The guy was like, well, you don't have to be an NHL player to be a good coach. Look at so-and-so. I'm like, dude, calm down.
That's what you got
It's
to
just
give
an
him the
opinion.
Patrick
Enjoy.
Law. Be like, I can't hear you with my Stanley Cup ring in my ear.
I have Tree Stanley Cup in my ear. Tree Stanley Cup in my ear, blocking my ear. All right, sorry.
But we know that Ryan Warsawski, though, has, we don't know this for sure, but it sure seems like Ryan Warsawski has a ex-burner because he seems to know everything that the fans are saying. So Dan Boyle is saying that he has a friend of his who reads all your comments. So watch out.
I don't. But anyway, so
It could be Warsawski that's mad.
It could be.
Anywho, Jason, I apologize, but why don't you let us know your thoughts on the demon? Sorry about that.
No, I mean, listen, I think this is kind of a work in progress. You got a lot of guys here that are like veterans on prove-it years. You have guys, some young kids coming up. You got Dickinson, you got Mukhamadullin, you got Desharnais. You have a mix of guys, so I didn't really know how it would pan out. And I think it was a little rocky early on for them, but they're starting to kind of find a little bit of a rhythm. But and Dan knows this, they say the forecheck they changed. When you're kind of struggling in a 1-2-2, you need a lot more. I don't want to say like to discredit the guys in the Sharks, but like it requires more brain power to run a 1-2-2 and run it effectively. A 2-1-2 is more like, hey, we got some speedy guys. This just means you know where you're supposed to be at all times. You forecheck, you see numbers, you go D-man, you pinch, center reload, and at least it protects you from giving up those big chunk plays that kind of the Sharks have been known to do, especially early in the season, giving up leads and stuff like that. So they found a good rhythm, and I feel like last year they should have went to the 2-1-2. I know Panger, when I was calling some games around the road, I wanted him to go to the 2-1-2 really early. I just think it's a good forecheck to learn from as an NHL player, to learn about being in the right spot, staying on the gas, going on offense. So it's worked out well. But on the D side, I mean, John Klingberg is kind of doing what I thought he'd do since he's been healthy, is providing a spark to that power play. That's big. I talked to Toffoli before the year, and I was like, I think this PP can maybe steal you some games, because Klinger at his best is not a Dan Boyle walking the blue line, but he knows how to walk the blue and has some similarities with the way, Dan, how he moves. And it's hard to find D-men that can walk the blue effectively and like influence that first defender coming at you. So he's done really good. I think Mukhamadulin's he's done a lot better than expected. I think he's understanding his role a little bit better, just being, stick on puck, simple. Don't try to do anything too crazy. And, the big question mark will be, how much does Sam Dickinson develop this season? You see flashes of it. I still think he's very green, very green. he's got a lot of issues, I think, with his stick placement in the D zone and kind of where he's putting his body. So I think once he figures that out, I think when you see those flashes, Dan, you're like, this is a guy that can play big minutes and really be comfortable. So there's a lot to like. I still think it's a work in progress, but it's nice to see the guys kind of finding a rhythm together. I know it was tough. They've been trying to figure out pairings that work, and I think it's gonna kind of be like a carousel all season long for these guys. So guys are gonna have to get comfortable playing with multiple partners, which I know at times is tough, but they got some veteran guys there. And you touched on Orlov at the end to kind of cap it all off. This is kind of he had a good year last year, and I think the playoffs, a lot of people had a bad taste in their mouth the way that ended against Florida, and I think it hurt him a little bit. So now he's kind of rebuilding his reputation, and I think this is a good place to do it. So I think he's doing what he was brought in to do. I didn't think he had a good start. I thought it was tough to start, but he's starting to find his game now, and so it's just a sneaky decor I think can help this kind of guide this young forward group as we move into the season.
I want to talk about John Klingberg in particular here. I think we'll kind of maybe run through, focus in on some of these particular defensemen, but I don't know how much you pay attention to it, JD, but man, the fans were roasting John Klingberg recently, and right after he came off of injury, Orlov had been running PP1 with some success. I think 6 goals and 6 power play goals in 6 games with Orlov running PP1. Klingberg comes back, 4 games without a goal. Fans are just roasting him. But that was really strange to me because, I mean, if you look at just John Klingberg's career, this guy knows how to run a power play. Yes, he had a few rough games. And anyway, I don't know if you guys saw, Ryan Warsawski is seeing the comments because a lot of fans were killing John Klingberg for his shot. I think he had a couple kind of shots like in a empty net situation, or the Sharks pulled the attacker against maybe Detroit or LA, and not the strongest of shots. And so fans were killing John Klingberg's shots. So anyway, yesterday after the Seattle game where John Klingberg scores a power play clapper, somebody asked Ryan Warsawski about John Klingberg's shot. Warsawski just says, he looks at that reporter, it wasn't me, by the way, but it says,
yeah, okay.
Is everyone okay? Is everyone okay? Thank you. That's all he says to that. So what do you think about just that criticism of Klingberg on a power play, which, again, I find crazy just because of how good he's been. And it's just been 4 games. Not the best 4 games, but anyway.
I will jump in here.
Yes. There's
a responsibility as a quarterback of a power play. It's almost like a pitcher in baseball or a quarterback. If you can be playing well, and if the team's not scoring on the power play, you're going to be probably the main. You're going to be the main person, right?
Point at.
So they're not going to talk about the guy that's in front of the net
where's Dan?
They're going to talk about the power play, the quarterback power play. So I think when you go 4 games with no goals, that's the guy that you're going to pick on most of the time. So I agree with JD. I think he's got some nice, obviously he's got vision. I mean, he's been doing it in Dallas for years. He's got some nice, what do you call them, 10-2s or whatever once in a while that can kind of shimmy shake. Yeah. So, obviously as far as the shot, you don't have to have the hardest shot. Not everyone shoots at 100 miles an hour. It's just about putting it on net, finding placement, and some of that, it does go along with good screens. But if I was me, I'd just give Macklin Celebrini the puck every fucking time.
Easiest job in the world. But like to Dan's point, like look at that goal last night. Like that was a great shot, but look at the flash screen by Wennberg. Like
exactly.
That's what allows it. Like, I always remember, and it was my first kind of foray into the league is watching, arguably one of the best power plays ever.
Yeah.
And the power play with Dan, Heater, Patty Marleau, Joe Thornton. Like when you think back to that power play, Joe Pavelski, like that's up there in the top 5 greatest put together PPs of all time. And I used to watch them when they'd come down the wall to shoot. And Patty, this was the first time I've ever seen and heard of, flash screens. And Patty would be like, hey, when you're about to shoot, I'm moving right here. So shoot at me. And it's like, that is a kind of a lost art in the NHL. But every time you see a good pass by screen, a flash screen, and it goes in, it's like that is something. And you even see on the goal when he scores, Klingberg literally points at Wennberg. And he's like, great flash screen, because he knew exactly what he's doing. Because Klinger used to do that with Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn's another one. He's great in Dallas. And he understands that. So it's just like, and to Dan's point, exactly right. Like, you're the guy that's under the microscope. Doesn't matter the quarterback, the guy running it. Doesn't matter how many times you score. As soon as you miss 3 or 4, it's your fault. Because he didn't put it on the tee.
Here, guys. So,
all right, have fun on your Tinder date.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, let us know how it goes.
I just want to close very quickly, though. Historically, Klingberg versus Orlov on a power play, no comparison. So there's a reason why they put Klingberg back in there. So historically, Klingberg is a PP1 guy, Orlov is a PP2 guy. Simple. Anyway, all right, guys. Don't let the teammates run this.
See you, buddy.
Shanger's with the flash screen.
The flash
There he
screen.
goes.
And he's out.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was called a flash screen, but I do agree with JD. Sometimes when you look up and you see, I mean, obviously you want the net front forward to screen the goalie, but sometimes if he's taken away short side, it almost, you don't want to shoot it there because you don't want to fucking ping your guy right in the chin or whatever. So it almost sometimes can backfire. But I do like the idea of a forward skating by the area. That way you don't feel like you're going to hit him. And I remember Dave Andrechuk, one of the best as well back in the day, he used to be like, shoot it at my chest, which was weird, but I'll get out of the way. So it wasn't called a flash screen back then, but it was him letting me know that that's the side I want you to shoot on. I will move. Because sometimes if a guy does take net front presence and doesn't move, you're not going to shoot there because you don't want to hit him. And therefore, you're instead of having 20% of the net open, you're now looking at 5 to 10%. So I thought it was a great screen as well, and I noticed it last night.
I want to bring up the Warsofsky responding to comments thing, because I feel like if he really did respond to comments, like if he listened to what all of the people online are saying, we'd be playing like 11 rookies, sitting every single vet. And then Askarov will be playing back-to-backs and stuff. Like, that's the problem is Klingberg, like Sheng was saying before you flash screen out of here, has got this, a very known quantity of what he can do. And yeah, he had 4 not-so-great efforts on the power play, 4 games there. But it was, he's giving him the trust that he's going to figure it out. And that last game, he really did. It was a great pinch he had, too, during that game. And, yeah, so I think that's just another example of Warzo coming to his own too, right? Like, he's responding to the media being like, "Are you guys happy now? Like, we're winning?" And I think that's really funny.
I think fans don't realize, like, it's at the end of the day, it's still not a development league. Veterans got to be there. You got to show guys the way to play, even if they make mistakes. The veterans, 90% of the time, they're playing the right way. So it's like you got to kind of follow that in some sense. You can't play 11 rookies, and I think that's what Mike Greer and the Sharks kind of were looking to do more this year, is bring in some veterans that can kind of help shepherd these guys a little bit. And, on the back end specifically, it's better to have a veteran back end, I think, than a veteran forward group, because you just want to kind of have a few sprinkle. Like, when I came in the Sharks, it was like I was the rookie with, 5 veterans, and it's like it helped me. If I was with 3 other rookies, we'd probably be like, it wouldn't have worked out as well. Now we had a much better team going for a Stanley Cup, but like that's always kind of D-man. You always want like 1 rookie, maybe 2, but rest veteran guys. Like, you want guys to kind of bring guys along, and I think up front you can kind of get away with it a little bit more. Like 4 or 5 veterans, and then you kind of mix out some young guys. But D specifically, you want to have 1 or 2, let them come up all together. I like that they got Mukhamadullin and they got Dickinson in there. I think it's 2 good young guys, and then you just surround them with your older guys.
Yep, and I want to just add real quick to the 2-1-2 thing. I just think playing aggressive hockey, when you're an offensive-minded, puck-hungry player, that's what you want to play. You don't want to play the sit-back game of like, kind of back on your heels. You want to fucking go. As a D-man, I wanted to pinch. Obviously, you need a third man high, or your forward needs to back you up. But it's the better, more fun way to play hockey versus laying back and waiting on mistakes, which unfortunately some coaches still preach and want that. And maybe there is a place for that every now and again if a team's tired. hurt. Some other teams playing unbelievably well. There's probably a few times during the course of the season where I think that's applicable. But on most nights, guys want to fucking go. Guys want to play. You're only playing 10, 12, 13, 15, 20 minutes a night. Guys want to fucking go. And I think you're going to get caught once in a while. But I think if 90% of the time you're on the other team's heels, you know, the Shark Tank used to be the hardest place. Everybody I've met over the years in my retirement, they remember saying the fucking Shark Tank was the hardest place to play. They always felt like they was fucking 6-on-5 for the first period.
Every single guy.
Every single person I've met over the course of my freaking, like, since I played for the Sharks till I retired till now, Shark Tank's hardest place to play. Well, why not get back to that? Obviously, you have to have the players. But let's get back to that aggressive style play, fucking getting in, especially in the first period, getting the fucking D-man to pinch in, forwards back them up. Like I said, you're going to make an odd mistake here and there, but you want it to be a hard place to play against, or a hard building to play in.
I watch, you watch hockey now, and anybody that plays a 1-2-2, I'm just like, there's so many opportunities to pinch, and giving your D-man the green light is so important, I think, to, like, if you feel it and you see it, pinch. Like, if you're looking and you have somebody back, if you have your centerman that is 50-50 with their third guy, for me, I'm like, you're going every time. Like, every single time. Like, if they are next to each other, you're going every single time pinching. And it should be non-negotiable.
So real quick, the game last night, the first goal is Klingberg pinching in. Macklin scores. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the game right there. I don't know. If they lay back, maybe they go down a goal, and then all of a sudden the game's changed. They right away from the onset of the game, all of a sudden we're up 1-0 with a minute in, and it's like, fuck. And it changed the course of the game based on a pinch that turned into the best player's fucking hands who put the puck in the net.
Yeah, a beautiful pinch. Like, unexpected. Because I've been watching the Sharks so much, it just hasn't really been there. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, he's got the puck.
I'm going to let the dog out. Keep going.
Yeah. No, it's just, listen to what Dan says, but it's crazy because, for my thesis on pinching always is, even if you're not going to get the guy, if you're doing it at the right time and you're not allowing them to get top speed, you're always allowing your guys to get back. So it's like, even if you're just getting a piece of him, even if the puck gets chipped by you and he might just get by you and you kind of hold him up a bit, you're still going to negate that rush because you're shrinking the ice, you're shrinking the rink. You're making it a lot smaller and you're not letting them get to top speed. And you also got to trust that your guys are coming back, to Dan's point. But I feel like as a D-man, when you don't pinch and you back off, then forwards cheat more because they're like, well, he's not going to fucking pinch. So I just got to try to turn this puck over on my own. Once you start pinching more, they go, okay, I got to cover because the puck's getting chipped by. That's an opportunity for me to pick up this puck, stay on offense. So it just ends up breeding confidence between the forwards and the D-man, and that's the most important thing.
The Sheng had outlined pretty much every D-man for us to talk about. So we've talked about Klingberg. We're going to talk about Mukhamadullin in a minute because I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying, JD, about his improvement. But what do we talk about what Nick Leddy has brought so far? What have you guys seen from Leddy so far?
Leddy, he's been out how long now?
Like
3
10
games?
days, maybe something like that.
Yeah, 10 days now, right? I mean, Nick is a smooth skater. I feel like, it wasn't the best start, but I think it was I think it's always tough when you're kind of coming into this situation. I think it's very difficult every team has aspirations to make the playoffs. So when you kind of hear the outside noise that you're in a rebuild and maybe the structure's not there early in the season, it's difficult to adjust to that as a D-man, especially a veteran D-man that's been on some really good teams, because you get frustrated and then you start, creating bad habits. And it's almost like, the older I got, and I don't know if Dan felt that way, like if I was I needed more structure the older I got because I knew how to play within the structure. And you obviously know how to anticipate, but you know how to anticipate within the structure. So for me, I was like, if I'd go on a team where there's zero structure and guys would kind of excel in that, I'd be like, no, like come on. Like I need to know that when I'm pinching, I got somebody covering for me. I need to know when I'm skating the puck that somebody's not fucking me, my teammates, because everybody's cheating all over the ice and this is just a shit show. So I feel like a little bit to start the year, it was kind of like that from a little touch and go. But, the injury, how healthy is he going to stay all year? I'm not sure. But, I think he's still he's a veteran guy to have in the room, and hopefully he's around the guys.
All right.
About Leddy Boiler. I think we're getting a little. It's like the Mukhamadullin effect, where every game he's in, it seems like the Sharks are playing well, and then every game that Leddy's been in, the Sharks haven't played well, other than the Vegas game where he was in that first game.
Well, he was in early, and the Sharks were not playing well. Yeah, the Sharks. I mean, his skating is gonna, keep him alive in this league for a little while. But just to jump on what JD said, as far as structure goes, I'll be a little bit more specific. Like, I think certain players like to play a certain kind of a way, whatever way that is. Player A might like this style, player B might like this style, and maybe as the Sharks play a little bit more aggressively, that may fit his style a little bit more. I don't know, because obviously nobody had a great start to the season. I think the decor as a whole, the goaltending was pretty soft.
It wasn't great.
Through 7-8 games of the season, I don't think anybody on the back end or net was doing very well. So.
Yeah, that's a big improvement too that we might not touch on, but Askarov's play and just the net play in general, a lot more consistent, a lot less of that, those flubs that kind of plagued the Sharks in the beginning of the year. And I mean, there's been one or two, but had good recoveries on one. Was it Net or Askarov in the corner that had to get that poke check? I think it was Askarov, where after he turned it over.
Askarov, yeah.
It was Askarov.
Well, that's a mistake. Or like that just.
There's going to be growing pains with Askey, I think, big time. He's very. I kind of sat with Spearsy a little bit last year, and I was like, "What are you trying to get at Askarov?" Because he's got all this. He's crazy athletic.
Yeah.
Can bend backwards. He looks like a contortionist out there. But like when you're kind of like that, you lean on it too much, and then you get really wavy, and you kind of look like the inflatable arm waving tube guy. Yeah. And then there's holes, right? So like there's holes. So it's like I think they're trying to just calm him down a little bit and allow him to just stay positionally sound. And then when you need to use that athleticism, use it. But you're going to be better off that way. And he's kind of shown it because he made that save last night.
Yeah.
That split save was fucking insane.
Yeah. That was nasty and aggressive.
Like as you're sliding this way to still plant down and get that right leg was pretty impressive. I was like, okay, there it is.
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit last week. Two things. He was getting picked high, and I was talking about like every team you play, there's going to be in the locker room before the game a picture of the goalie and where the last 10 goals were, and so he's going to have to learn. Like I said, maybe it's his glove, maybe it's his blocker side or whatever it is. There's Nabby or whoever will help him out. And there's a big difference between AHL players and NHL players, okay? The AHL players are very good players.
Yeah.
But the NHL shooters, they can fucking pick a corner, okay? So there's not 2 or 3 guys on NHL teams that can do it. There's probably 8 or 9. And so, maybe at the AHL level, he got away with that kind of stuff. But at this level, he's going to have to fine-tune his positioning. And then when the time comes, like it did last game, where he has to make an acrobatic, crazy-ass save that no one's teaching him to do, that's just his raw skills, then he gets to do that. But otherwise, positionally, he's going to have to be a little bit more sound, understanding. He may have to carry this glove a little higher, or right-hander, I guess, a little higher than normal, because guys are starting to pick that corner a little bit.
It's funny, too, because, like in the A, it's like there'll be 15 chances in a game, and maybe 1 or 2 will go in. In the NHL, there'll be 5 to 7.
Yeah.
But there'll be 3 or 4. So it's like, it's just that level of finish is just way different.
Yeah, guys, again, AHL players are good, but NHL players are really fucking.
I noticed him battling more. I noticed him battling more through screens too. Like a lot of those, when he was getting picked, he was like really crouched down looking for the puck, and he's standing a little bit more upright. And to JD's point, I see him in the beginning, he was kind of overplaying the puck with his athleticism, like pushing too hard and like spreading out. And now he's a little bit more dialed into controlling that. And I mean, he's been playing great. Last night, he was incredible.
You know who's like that early in their career was Karel Vejmelka in Utah, and who's in Arizona. He was like a classic overslider and was so strong and like would push, and then all of a sudden, like a guy would pause for half a second and he's in the corner because he pushes so hard. And it's like, they're just like, fucking relax. Like, you're going to get there. Just get there. And like, it's like kind of like he's just hopped up on goofballs. It's just like, hey, just slow down a bit, you know?
Let me hop on that. If you look, sometimes they have the camera angles from the blue line. If a goalie gets beat in the middle of the fucking net, I keep saying fuck. Why? There's a lot of fucks.
You've seen of them.
I know. Every time. Well, it's good. JD. What you don't know is that every time I say fuck, all the people that are listening have to take shots. So people are bombed right now.
But there we go.
Yeah. So, but
Drunkish.
I remember early in the season, like guys, like the puck was hitting the net, the mesh of the net in the middle of the net. Besides the 5-hole, like the puck shouldn't be at the center or the middle part of the net. And that means the goalie has overslid one way or another. And I agree with that. He was oversliding. There's just being overly aggressive. The puck should never beat you in the middle of the net. It means you're completely out of position for the wrong reasons.
He knows that his down low play is.
And it's just an opinion, whoever's listening. It's just an opinion.
Dan's goalie advice. Also, Dan's goalie school.
We should mention that we are going to get.
How does Boyle know what the fuck he's talking about?
He's not a goalie. No, we are going to get a I can't remember his name from In Goal Magazine to come back on because he talked last year about Askarov and he mentioned specifically he had some concerns about his blocker and his glove. He said down low, this guy is lights out. It's hard to beat him. He's athletic as hell.
Yeah.
But up high, he had some concerns. That was the AHL level. So love to get him back on. I cannot remember his name.
We played with a goalie like that, no? Boiler?
Who?
Nemo.
Just kidding. Like I said, goalies have tendencies, man.
Yeah.
Goalies have tendencies. And like I said, with the shooter tutor, with scouting reports.
Yeah, it's too much now.
For guys like Jody Shelley, he's not going to look at that because he's not going to fucking score a goal to save his life. Or Sheng Peng, you know what I mean? Sheng Peng in the beer league doesn't need to look at the shooter tutor. He's not going to score. But Zubair will. Zubair's going to look at it.
There you go.
And he's going to pick the corner every time.
Snip.
What's your flex, Zubair? What do you got? An 85 guy?
I went down, but I'm not like you guys. I can't afford buying the new Twig, so I went down to a 65, and I was ripping them.
65 spaghetti noodle.
It was so much fun, like ripping pucks.
65.
But then I'd break them every 2 games. I was like, I can't afford this. I'm not getting paid for this.
Yeah.
So I went back
not
up,
rolling
and
in.
Face-offs are looking good though. Went back up to an 85. Some good slashes. Boys are getting the lumber.
JD, what did you play with?
I started at a 95, and then I went to 85. Then I kind of went back to a 95. Shows how mentally of a midget I was. I switched with a little bit, but I ended on like 84, and it, because wildly enough, I went to like 75 because I was like near the end of my career. And I was like, I want to see what these young kids are talking about. I'm watching all these whippy shots.
Whippy.
It is crazy, but like I'd go into the battle and like try to hack somebody, and you're literally like your sticks flexing. And you can't get any lumber on anybody. So I kind of was like, I didn't love it too much, and I liked being more, as I progressed into my career, I liked being more my stick being firm in the battle because I was like,
I played a 110. I was a 110.
You were a 110, yeah. Because
that's because I if you ever
sweep
I didn't like the flex. It felt when I was stick handling or in a battle, I didn't like to feel the bend of my stick.
Yeah.
So obviously I didn't have the hardest shot. I wasn't Zdeno Chara, but I did like a stiff shaft. You know what I mean?
No, you had the sweep shot. You had the sweep shot.
Yeah.
You were a power play defenseman that if you look at all the PP defensemen now, they have that little quick whip, and you had the sweep, which not many guys have the sweep anymore.
So it's all preference. It's all preference. I had to borrow your stick though once. I think broke my stick. You do the drive by on the bench, and you grab the stick, and I had yours for one, and I was like, "Whoa, boy!"
Oh,
yeah, I remember.
Isn't that the best?
Because I went from 110. So the fans that don't like the higher the number, the stronger the stick won't bend, and as you get to a lower number, you're talking like Ovechkin, where like there's like a total curve in the stick, and you just have to. It's like a wrist motion. The stick does the work for you.
I think I remember when you.
So you break your stick in a play when you're kind of in the rush, and you skate by your team's bench, and all the righties will put their sticks out, and then you just grab one. And so I remember I had JD's stick for one, and I got the puck in the offensive zone, and it was like, whoa, whoa. It was weird.
He came back to the bench, and he did that kind of Dan Boyle where he's like, where he does that like, and then he comes out, and here I am thinking like Dan Boyle's going to score at my stick, and he comes back, he's like, this is awful. And I was like, well, okay. Makes me feel better about myself.
To each his own.
I know. That was back before like the trainers would literally grab the stick. Well, they'd go and grab the stick. This is like that was like you're getting whoever
you're just skate by and
you're getting
if the guys weren't paying attention, lefties would like put their left sticks out and be like, oh fuck, no.
He's skating around with Doug Murray's shaft running around there, crankshaft.
What kind of sharpening was you guys rock?
I was, depending on where I was 5/8 or a ½ inch.
Okay.
I didn't know till I retired, and I went back to do a Sharks alumni game for a couple of years ago, and I said, do whatever. I had no idea. I don't know what I had. I still don't.
I didn't know until I was like last
Mikey
3 or 4
Aldridge.
years.
I had no idea until he told me that day, but I think I was different there as well. I had a different hollow. Is that what they call it?
Yeah. Would they change?
5/8 is like the common
Standard.
one, right?
5/8 standard. Yeah.
I dropped to an inch race.
And then guys like Patty would have other ones, right?
The inch is fire. Like you're flying out there. You can just glide as long as you.
Yeah,
know
but
your
the
edges.
problem is if you're on the wrong ice, like I would do the ½ inch, and like I'd like toe pick into the boards if like it wasn't like good ice. Like if it was like because you slide everywhere. Like you're like standing there and your feet are just sliding apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can't stop or anything. You're dead.
100%. All right, so I want to get back to Sam Dickinson. And actually, JD, I got a question for you because I've been loving all your talks recently on like the mental health part of the game. And that's something that Dan's talked about as well. And I just find very interesting. And I do have a background in like micro behavioral economics, so the intersection of psychology and economics. And I just find this stuff so fascinating. And, you talk about confidence a lot and how to play the game with mental health. And Sam Dickinson, after he found out that he was staying with the Sharks on his 10th game, he had the best game he's played this season. And after that, even last night, and you're starting to see him jump up in plays and be his natural self. And I just wanted to see what you guys are seeing in Sam, and also talk maybe a little bit about what that could mean in terms of confidence to a player from your guys' own experience.
You want to go? You want to take it, Dan?
I'll be quick. I mean, confidence in any sport and anything you do in life, if you feel confident doing it, you're going to perform better. I went to school as a sports psychology major. I did not graduate with that, but that was that's what I was wanting to do with my life. But so I find it very interesting. I think the mind, and I agree. I think knowing that the 10 games were kind of up, he was probably a little tentative. Now that's kind of taken care of, now he gets to move on to the next step. And then I think the next one will be getting more minutes, getting some power play time, getting some more opportunity, start finishing a little bit. I've seen some flashes. If he can start putting the puck in the net here and there, it's just going to create this confidence. And I think we're going to see a better, bigger and better player moving forward. But it makes a huge difference. Any player, you could literally take the best players in the game when they're confident, and nothing can be stopped. You want to make a backhand sauce through the fucking middle. You're going to make it. You're going to do it, and you're going to make it. But when you're struggling, golf is a perfect example. That's what I do now, and JD can probably attest to that. Like some days you're going to fucking hit the ball down the middle. You're going to put it by the pin, and you're putting it there. And the off days, you're like, fuck, you total doubt in what you're going to hit, and then all of a sudden, slice into the woods or into the water. So confidence is a major part of being an everyday NHL player and a very good player.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Sam Dickinson, when you see him at his best and you see those flashes, you're kind of like, this is what they're hoping to get to. I think a lot of it is on your surroundings too. I think, the NHL is different now than it was. Like I was, lucky enough, and I'm so grateful that, a lot of people, when I talk to people about people that I leaned on when I was in the NHL and veterans and stuff like that, I always mention Dan's name because I sat next to him a lot on the bench, that's the most I spent on a bench. So people say, oh, Jumbo was great. And Jumbo was super hard on me. And like Dan was always the one to be like, grab me after Jumbo would tear a strip off me and be like, hey, like in French, be like, just fucking play, like just go play. And Dan's thing to me always was like, what's the worst that can happen? Just play. If you make a mistake, make it, but make it playing the right way. And so anytime I'd make a good play or make a middle pop, I'd come back to the bench and he'd kind of be there. And I got to sit front row and watch somebody who played a high risk game, but did it so well, but also played Dan was never credited for like being a really good 200-foot defenseman, but he battled his ass off in the D zone. So for me, it was always like a great mentor to have. And I always tell people like, that's the guy that I sat next to. I had these great veterans, we had Rob Blake, but like
getting emotional right now.
I don't know, but yeah, I don't know if I've ever told Dan this, like personally, like, just like talking and, I dealt with confidence and performance anxiety, like at the highest level. It led me to abuse a lot of painkillers, drugs, alcohol, all sorts of narcotics, stuff like that. And I kind of found my way back near the end of my career. So I blocked out a lot of like the initial parts of my career because I was so stressed and so hyper. But I always remember being on the bench and, I had Rob Blake my first year, and Rob Blake was a great veteran to follow, but I wasn't necessarily like, in Dickinson, it's like Rob Blake was so laid back, and I didn't understand, like I couldn't get to being laid back, and I wasn't. Rob would still run you over, but he was always very calm, and I was more fiery, and Dan was fiery. So I'd look at Dan and be like, I'd kind of watch him, and I'd sit next to him on the bench, and he was huge for me a lot of points at a lot of tough moments in my career early on when I was sitting on the bench being like down after a huge mistake, because I made a lot of mistakes early on. I still made some good plays, but I made mistakes, and he'd always be the first one to be there, being like in French too, being like, just tell them to fuck off. He used to tell me, like, tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. The coach would tear a strip and he'd be like, hey, like, don't worry about it. Like, it's good. Like, just keep playing your game and do your thing. So I always appreciated that the older I got of having that. So I think for a Sam Dickinson, like you need those veterans to be like, hey, like go make that play. Like, why not you? Like you've done it. Yep. You did it your whole career. Like, why are you going to stop? Why are you going to change the way you play now where you're at? And I think that was always the message I got from Dan is like, don't change your game. Like play your game. Yeah. Obviously you have to still play within the structure, but when there's a chance to make a play, fucking make the play. Like make it. Like you're there. Like if you want to rush, like Sam's a good skater, like get up in the rush. If you want to lead the rush, lead it, make sure you get your ass back, but lead the rush. Like don't play stupid, but do what got you there. And I think that's important for a lot of players. Like I think there is a level of adaptability that needs to be had in the NHL because I always say, and there's two leagues, there's the haves and the have-nots, and you're going to be awarded. Sam Dickinson will have more leeway than somebody else to find their game. So for a guy like him, I'd always tell him when I'd be older, like, hey, like you're going to get the opportunities, like don't squander them, but like play the right way, but play your game. Like do not try to confine and play like Mukhamadullin. Like do not, like don't, that's not you, because you're going to be worse and he's going to do it better. And then when you get to the guys that are kind of scrapping and clawing and, because last year when I was there, I'd talk to the Henry Thruns and the Jack Thompsons, and I'd be like, you're kind of in that second tier. Like it's going to be an uphill battle for you no matter what happens. You're going to have to blow the doors off for you to like really compete and stay in this league. Like you have to find a way to adapt to whatever the team needs and then do that to 150%. So it's just like having those veterans around. Like Dan was so good for me. It allowed me to last longer in my career because of a guy like him versus and learning and understanding that. And I think veterans play a big part, especially on the back end, because it is, and Dan can talk about this, it's a fickle, I think it's the toughest job. I just think D-man is you're required to do so much for so little praise. And there's also such a fine line between a sixth defenseman and a top four. And it's like, there's sometimes like it's just like there's a lot of guys that don't make it that are really good because they can't grasp what it is to be a defenseman and play night in, night out. So I think Sam's going to have to learn that. I know that's long-winded, but that's just to tie it all together of him becoming what I think they need him to become and what they hope for him to become. And you see flashes of it. And again, when you're waiting for that paper to get an apartment, you're just sitting in the hotel like every day being like, are they going to call? Like, am I done? Every mistake you make in practice, every mistake you make in a game, it's so hard to get away from that. So you could see that deep exhale from him. And then now now you'll see a little bit better as he goes.
Well, so one thing I learned from all of this, and great comments, JD, is
Yeah.
Dan, you gotta, yeah, right? You gotta let Sam live with you now. People are saying that he should live with
I told Dan, there's multiple guys.
We're fucking petitioning this.
There's multiple guys, and I've told Dan like to look at the development side, like, you know, because what's great about Dan, and I don't mean to just be sitting here sucking off Dan, because Lord knows he doesn't need it. But the great thing about Dan is he doesn't pull any punches, but he cares. So it's like people miss that, and sometimes be like, oh, he's just being a dick, he's being Dan. But like on the hockey side of things, like when he's talking to you and he understands the game, it's like that's why I've always said, like, go sit around the D-man. Like a Sam Dickinson, like obviously doesn't play like Dan, but he's got a way of being blunt, but you're like, oh, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, it's like,
yeah. I thank you for all that. I got goosebumps listening to you.
Yeah.
I wasn't a first round pick. I was for 4 years. It was just in and out in Florida.
Yeah.
The advice that I gave was based on what I went through. And I remember telling JD a couple times, you're in and out of the lineup. I'm like, what are they going to do? Fucking take you out of the lineup? They're doing it anyways. Right. So, and I talked about this on podcasts previous to this, but it is a team game, but you are an individual and you have to find your game within a team concept.
Yes.
So if Dan Boyle or Sam Dickinson or Jason Demers tries to play the team game without playing their individual game within that, they're going to get lost because we're not first round picks. We're not 6'5". Those guys, the first round picks and the 6'5" guys are going to get a much longer leash. So, Dickinson obviously will have a longer leash because he's both. But I always try to like Matt Irwin was another one that I ended up being my partner for a year and came out of nowhere. And I wasn't a dick to my, I'm a dick, like kind of like as a more like a persona dick, shit talk.
Yeah.
But like to my guys, fuck no. I always tried to support. If anything, like JD said, the coach would come in and ream guys out, and I'd be like, because I kind of learned that with Torts. I'd be like, you know what? Fuck him. And I remember telling the story about Ramsey that would come down and go, you know what he said to you? Do the opposite. And I kind of took that, and I was like, guys would come down, and Todd or whoever would lay in the JD. I'd be like, fuck him.
And they did it off. And they did it often. I always remember a game, and I think it was obviously the national game, but there's a game I made a huge turnover, and it was a scoring chance for a goal, and I come to the bench, and you're skating towards the bench, and I could see Todd already walking down, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking eat it, and it's like, yeah, mother beep, and then I finish, and I'm kind of deflated, and then just right next to me, and Dan would kind of always lean low, and he'd just be sitting there, and he'd be like, in French, he'd just be like, just fuck that guy. So the next shift, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, fuck him. So the next shift I went, and I made like a behind the back pass. It ended up working out. And I think it's like Patty scored or something. And I kind of just like, I should not have been taking that risk, but I just riverboat gambled. It paid off. And I get to the bench, and Trent Yanni's sitting behind me. He just leans in, and he's like, and Dan's kind of like right next to me. And he goes, you got some brass balls, kid. And Dan gives me I just give me a punch. It'd be like a quiet, like no one knew that he was saying that, but he just give me like a punch and he's like, there you go. He goes, fuck him. And then it's just kind of those things of like learning. And I actually like the way he put that is like, you have to be an individual within the team.
Yeah, and that's a hard place to find. Otherwise, because if you're too individual and you're doing everything on your own, then they're going to be like, this guy's got no team concept whatsoever. And then on the other side of it, if you're just like a robot trying to play your team game and not being yourself, then you get lost. And that's what I did. The first 3 years in Florida, really. You get lost in that. So you got to find, you're there for a reason. They drafted you for a reason, or they signed you for a reason. You're there for a reason. They saw something they liked in you. So don't change that. Just find it within the team concept.
So JD, when you had you were with the Sharks, went back down, came back, when was that moment where you knew hey, I'm with the squad? And how did that change?
When I retired in 2020 is when I thought I made the NHL. Listen, I'm not building an app around mental health because I had it figured out early in my career. I struggled. I never felt comfortable. I tell people the day I signed my 5-year deal with Florida, I signed the deal, talked to my parents, was kind of crying with my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, and I literally went into the room and I was like, what now? Like they're going to rip it away from me and have the imposter syndrome. I kind of always felt that when I played. So, a lot of it was finding moments within it and leaning on teammates and also just certain moments. So I did struggle with it heavily. I think especially my time with San Jose, it was the first 3 years and it was up and down for me. I had some really good years, some really tough ones. I then had a big year. I had 30 points, 34 points. The 1 year we got reverse swept. And that was a year where it was really good. Everything was great. I was playing with Vlasic. We had a great team. We had all these high hopes, high aspirations. And then you get reverse swept. And I'm in the summer being uh-oh. Because I'm the change is coming. It's coming somewhere. And I signed that 2-year deal and then felt comfortable in the summer for a little bit. And then as soon as the year started was not. But I would probably say that 34-point year was the most comfortable, most fun during the year. We had a great team, such a good group of guys too. We're a close team, and it just it's crazy. You're comfortable, then you're not comfortable. But it's interesting because not being a high draft pick, I feel it's not uncommon. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys that never felt comfortable that played a long time. You're just kind of, if you're especially not a established guy and you're kind of finding your way around, you're just kind of trying to find where you fit at all times. So you're just never really fully getting comfortable. You're just kind of find these moments of comfortability, these moments of levity.
I want the people, why don't you tell us, this is a pretty cool story. So I don't know if Keegan and Zubair, you guys knew this. So JD was stuck on 999 games.
Oh, yeah.
I wish 999, 699.
Wait, 699. Sorry, 699.
It should have been if.
God damn it. I knew it was a 99. Sorry.
It should have been if Todd didn't scratch me so much.
So he was stuck on 699, and to most people that means nothing, but to a hockey player reaching a milestone of 700, sorry, not 1,000. But you were stuck on 699 for a couple years, right? Because you had injury, and then you were
I had my last year in Arizona, I was on 699, and I was at 697, and
it was scratched at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, it was
which was fucked up.
It stemmed back to the bubble year. We won the first round against Nashville, and then we were playing Colorado, and me and the coach kind of just had a misunderstanding that ended up turning into just a crazy shitstorm of mutual dislike. And when a coach, Dan knows this, when a coach doesn't like you,
no, you're done.
You're fucked. So I came back at a year left. It was kind of still that weird limbo year post-COVID. We all were kind of figuring it out. There wasn't really trades. It was just kind of you're playing. It was my last year, my deal. So I get to the season, and there's times, and it's hard to explain it, but Dan will know, when you're not wanted, you come to the rink and you're you feel it from a coaching staff and a GM, where I walked in at training camp and I called my parents, my dad at home, and I was like, oh fuck, like this was like day one. I was like, this is gonna be tough. Cause I'm like, they won't tell you anything. They're just sitting there like, oh, hey, what's up? How's everything doing, Jay? Oh, great. Yeah, you're on like the fourth pair. Like, you're, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. I was playing 20 minutes a night for the past, 5 to 10 years in the league. Why am I on playing with an East Coast Hockey League player for like day one of training camp? That's weird. So go through the season, we start the year, everything's kind of fine. They try to, they're fucking around with me. We get to like halfway through, and then it's just like scratch for 6 games, scratch for 8 games. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So you're trying to get answers. What's going on? They're finally like, hey, we're just going to play the young guys and like bury you. And I'm like, freaking out in my head because I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like, this is the end of my career. So I really pushed back. And I wasn't the best of the coaching staff. I was a dick and said call them all sorts of names, and it's a two-way street. So we get to the end of the year, and I'm at like last 3 games of the season, I'm at 698, and I play a game, get scratched, and I'm at like 698, and we're playing a back-to-back at the end of the year. We're playing a home and home against San Jose in Arizona, then we're going to play San Jose back-to-back. Or sorry, we're playing both games in San Jose. So I pulled the coach aside and I said, hey, mentally, like, I'm in such a horrendous place. I'm just going to be honest with you. It was the first time I was honest. I was like, I'm not doing good. I'm like, I'm probably going to retire after this season. I'm done. I was like, I can't deal with this mentally. It was such a struggle, anxiety, depression. I was like, I just want to get to 700 games. There's 2 games left. Please play me for the 2 games. I know we've had our differences. You probably guys want to kill me as much as I want to kill you. Just bygones be bygones. Give me the 2, and that's it, and I'll be super grateful. And the coach said, all right, let me talk to the head coach. We'll see. We'll figure it out, and maybe we can do it. I didn't know that, this and that. Okay, great. We play the first game, go to San Jose, wake up. It's no morning skate. We're going to have, you go for breakfast, get the text for the lineup, and then just see my name off the list for the lineup. Oh, no, nothing, anything like that. So I walk out. I found out later multiple guys went in and were like, scratch me and play him because they knew what I was going through. Yeah. And the coach was like, no. And then I kind of was like, fuck him. I'm not, so really got mad at the world. Ended up not getting that game in San Jose. Then that summer I was like, well, to Dan's point of like, fuck them. I'm going to train my ass off. And like, I have a renewed kind of vigor to play, but it was that based out of pure hatred. So that's never a good thing. So I worked out, like, overtrained 7 days a week, like, didn't do anything. 2 weeks before camp, go out to kind of let off some steam with my wife and some friends and blow my back out, saying bye to a buddy of mine, going to give him a hug and lift him up, and my back explodes. Found out I had like some other stuff going on from the previous year that just I never thought of. So blow my back out. I lose feeling in my left leg. Can't walk, having a trouble walking. Can't do anything. I'm like, forget about hockey. I don't even know if I'm going to get my feeling back. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to skate again. So I was like, what do I do now? And ended up seeking out, went and had surgery on my own, paid for it myself. Went and, because I was still on insurance at that point. So the league paid for it, thank God. And then ended up getting an L5 discectomy. They're like, hey, we're going to kind of try to it was rubbing on my nerve. So like, we're going to try to get that off your nerve and hopefully the feeling comes back. Cause I'd been kind of trying to train and get back with those nerve issues. So I was just rubbing on my nerves. So they're like, sometimes you do more damage.
Do that again real quick. We got a meme. We call
that the reverse hand.
The reverse Sheng Peng.
The reverse Sheng Peng. hit it, the Iron Lotus. So I ended up just rehabbing myself and not telling anybody, and it ended up kind of being a blessing in disguise because I really had to kind of look myself in the mirror on the mental health side of things and fix some things in my own life. Ended up playing in the Olympics that year, playing in Russia, crazy Russian stories. And then came back and was like, it was April. And I was like, I'm going to give it one more go. Got a PTO to the Edmonton Oilers, called and begged every team. And there was enough kind of, I think, bad shit around the league about me of just like the way I went out and things like that. So I was kind of on my knees being like, hey, please give me an opportunity to come back. I know it's been a while. Got back, ended up playing a whole year in Bakersfield, a very humbling year in the AHL to finish, and had like 2 concussions, high ankle sprain. And I'm playing San Jose with the Barracuda, against the Barracuda.
Yeah.
And with like 2 weeks left in the season, and I'm like, these motherfuckers aren't going to give me the game. I'm going to finish out. So I'm sitting on the bench, and I just look to the left. And I look to the left, like at this arena, because, Setaguchi would come watch sometimes, and I'd see like Joe Thornton. And so I look at the left, and Dan Boyle's like this, sitting four seats down.
Yeah.
Gray beard, silver fox. And I'm like, I kind of look, and I just start laughing. And he just goes like this. He's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like,
and then you turned it on. Then he started fucking making backhand saucers, and he was like old school again.
Yeah. So he gave me a little boost. So I get off I finished the game, and he texted me, and he goes, what's going on? And I was like, I'm just kind of telling him the story, because I hadn't really told many people the story. He called Jay Woodcroft like that next day and was like, Jay Woodcroft's head coach in Edmonton. Be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Just like give him the game or like get him up there. And, the whole time I was there, the GM staff, it's crazy because they were like, we're probably going to bring you up at some point. They didn't have like one D injury that whole year. Like not one guy was hurt. Like 560 played 82 games. So it was like I didn't even have an opportunity. So it's not like they were like making sure I wasn't coming up. Nobody got hurt. So I'm like, are you kidding me? So they gave me a call up, and it happened to be in San Jose. Yeah. I mean, it was like a whole cathartic experience. I mean, I cried half the game. I couldn't even I made a terrible turnover because I just was like, my parents are there. My dad, my dad's there. My niece is there. Like all the guys I used to play with, Dan was there. Jumbo was there. So I was like, kind of like, holy shit. And then it was like kind of good because the turnover was like, okay, lock in and like play some hockey. And then, the game went great. And I was like, I can still play in the NHL, this and that. And was kind of, they called it quits after that. Really, it was like, that was it. I played the AHL playoffs and said I've kind of had enough. And that was a good way to kind of go out. That was
shout out to
Greersy
and yeah. But like Woody
too, yeah. Jay Woodcroft,
Woody and because I had met with Woody. He had called me, said want to come shadow me, and I had no interest in coaching, so ended up coming to a morning skate. I don't know. I went in to see a video with the one with the voice. Is it Manson?
Yeah, Manson. Yeah, Dave Manson. Yeah.
I just kind of like went in, talked to a couple of the young guys and stuff, and I said, Woody, like, fuck. I don't think it was because of me. I think they always had that plan, but I'm like, you guys are going to call him up. I'm like, he's at $6.99. You're playing in San Jose. Call the fucking kid up. Like, and again, I don't know that it was because of me, but I think maybe I helped, and it was nice. Yeah, it was nice to see you get your 700 game in San Jose in front of the people that knew you and saw you, and it was a really nice moment. And the Oilers, I thought, I think that was a very nice gesture on their part because the game didn't mean anything to the Oilers. I think they were going to the playoffs.
Yeah, we won.
It was late in the season. That's just a nice gesture that you can do as an organization, and I think as players, like that word gets around the league, and then you get to be known as an organization that takes care of their players. And just to tie it into the Sharks, like we want to be we want to be one of those organizations.
Has to be.
And you want to be an organization where the ownership, the coaches, management, trainers take care of their players. And I think for years the San Jose Sharks did not have that reputation, but you get the right people in the right places, shit like that, little things like that, and goes a long way.
They go a long way. And I mean, the Sharks too that night gave me like a video tribute or a crowd pop, which was great. So it was like, and I went out the way it came in, Dan, -1.
And you guys won the game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, -1 and a win. I played Colorado. My first NHL game was -1. We won 5-2. I left 6-1. I was -1
with the one.
Fuck. Well, fuck. JD, also, I know I want to talk a little bit about your app and stuff, but you lived it. I love, thanks for sharing that entire anecdote, because you are a testament of progressive mental health, working through it yourself. You took agency. I don't know if you've ever come across Dr. Conti. He's like a clinical psychologist at Stanford. And he says this one thing, that you can gauge mental health similar to physical health. And the two criteria that he looks for is agency and gratitude. And what you just shared in your story was a lot of agency. Like, I had to rehab myself, go get surgery. You know, I went to the drawing board. All I heard in my head was like I saw the Rocky montage. I was like, let's fucking go.
Running up the hill.
Right? Yeah, just like
Of me, yeah.
doing some pull-ups.
In Russia.
Yeah.
He loves your rock. He loves your rock.
And
Yeah,
then,
I mean,
but also gratitude for your teammates, Woodcroft, Boilers, like just also grateful to the support system you had. And then also be able to, you know, that discussion you had with the coach and the wherewithal to be like, I'm feeling these things and I'm going to communicate them. And sometimes like we keep those things in our head all the time, and you're just like, hey, I'm going to talk to this guy. And was this guy Mike Babcock and you Madonna? I don't know if you guys remember that story.
I mean, listen, you don't know how it's going to be received, but again, like to your point, we're all feeling these things. No one's immune to them. It's something that I'm not sitting here being like, oh, I had it worse than everybody. And like, I'm like, no, I had feelings of anxiety and I didn't deal with them. I had them at a young age. I never dealt with them. I never put tools in place to kind of help me deal with them. And then people go, well, you played in the NHL, like you made money. And I'm like, the stresses and things like that only get more and more and worse the higher you get. I know there's guys that are able to deal with it, but there's some people that can't. And if you don't have the tools, and even though you have a great upbringing and I had great supportive parents, I just kind of got caught in a loop, and it sometimes happens, and you just kind of keep repeating the loop and you repeat the cycle, and until you kind of sit and, it's a lot of like soul searching and staring at yourself in the mirror, being like, a lot of this is on me and not on my surroundings. And because when you start blaming the surroundings too much, you kind of miss the part that it's a lot in you and what's internalized, because you're kind of externalized what's in your head. So, for me, it was just a lot of that stuff. And whether my NHL career was meant to do that for me, it did, and it's helped me a lot. And not to say I'm not perfect and still got a ton of shit going on in the old dome. Boiler knows that. I mean, it's a lifelong journey, I'm a psychopath anyway, but at least I got a handle on it now.
You look real buttoned up today, which is
well.
I wanted to bring up a player that is not Sharks related at all, but is interesting because you guys remember Trevor Zegras, who got traded this season from Anaheim to Philadelphia. It was pretty open after the trade, like what went wrong in Anaheim. Like you were flying high your first couple of years, and then had like these pretty sharp decline in your point production and that kind of thing. And he said something like, "Oh, we'll blame it on seasonal depression." But I think he kind of was saying that he wasn't doing well mentally, and then now he's in a new system in Philadelphia and has like a point a game and is killing it out there. So it goes to show that like we as fans only see point production. We only see the play on the ice. Yeah. We don't see the things that are like behind the scenes that you guys are mentioning that are going on with every single player in the league. Like whether it's at a super, it's 100% all they can think about. They're super anxious or nervous or what have you, or they're laid back and chill. But there's some level of anxiety and depression in everybody that's playing at that high of a level. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something, JD. Having support is huge. Mm-hmm. That can be from your coach, teammates. Like I said, I know the feeling. In Florida, so for the next 12 years, I'm like, well, that's not true. In New York, there was a little bit tough. I had some issues with the coach, but
I was like that,
I was gonna say for many years I didn't feel that, but for the first 3 or 4 in Florida, like you show up and you're just, there's no support for you. There's no one going out of their way to say, hey, dude, like, are you good? Do you need anything? We really like you. We like what There's nothing. There was nothing. Like there was fucking nothing. So I know the feeling. So whoever you are, whether you're a first round pick or an unrestricted free agent, you have to feel that support from the GM, from the coach, from the coaches, first and foremost. Your teammates are very important, whether it's one guy, two guys, or a majority of players. You need that supportive group. And then you need the opportunity, obviously. You're writing the, I played, I think I told you guys, I played fucking fourth line in Florida. I played only power play in Florida. Like, those are not, you get anxious, those are not easy positions to be put in. So there's a lot of anxiety. Some guys deal with it a little bit better than others. Performance is key. But no, it's an interesting story, JD. Obviously, people can learn a lot from hearing you speak today, and happy to see you come out on the other side. You're a hardworking man now. Every time I turn on the fucking TV, you're on a different network.
I was hardworking when I played. I had to work hard. I had to make up for the lack of skill everybody thought I had. But hey, I played fourth line too in San Jose, and then only played power play.
Oh yeah, those are fun. Second period, you get a tap on the shoulder.
Christmas, and then the worst is getting on. You're sitting there on the PP, and then you're going to have to make, because we had that power play where you had to sprint from behind the net, and then at 100 miles an hour make a parallel pass to Patty Marleau or somebody that's going 10 times faster than you. And then if you missed it or it was in the skate, I just turn back to the bench and just all I get is not ready. Not ready. I'm freezing right now.
One more little ad. I remember in Florida too. I was in a hotel for 4 months. Okay. And people are like, well, big deal. You're in a hotel. It's tough, man. They're like, oh, you're in a hotel. That's great. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. But you pack for you get called up, you pack for a week, everything's back. For me, I was in Lexington, Kentucky. Your friends, your clothes, your fucking whatever is all home. And you're and I'm I was 3 months in. I'm no one fucking asked. No one told me go get a place. No one checked in. It was just kind of looking back, I'm that's fucked up. That's fucked up.
We did similar, because you remember San Jose. I spent that whole year.
So weird.
About a year and a half. And then my last year, I spent the whole year in the Bakersfield Hotel.
It's
fucking Marriott. It was disgusting. I got a free trip out of it.
Most polluted city in California.
Oh my God, it was awful. We heard people having sex after concerts in the rooms next door. It was the walls were paper thin. One of the young guys that was staying there got his room robbed. It's just
Jesus.
Crazy.
Anyways, and to the guy listening who's whoa, you tough, yes, I get it. It's privileged, freaking tough situations. Yeah. I understand. It's not comparing to some people having real issues. We're just talking about.
But your experience is also your experience.
This situation.
It's subjective.
And it's tough. I remember it was tough. I remember going to the coach and I said, what's the deal? What's going on? I have no clothes. And he said, go buy clothes. I'm that's not what I mean. I'm fuck, you
Tell
need
me where
to
I'm going.
Feel welcome. You need to feel loved. You feel like you're an in-between, not knowing where you're going to go. And hopefully, like I said, back to Dickinson,
so you're going to let him live with
knowing
you.
he's going to stick around.
So he's moving in with us.
He's moving in.
I'm moving to San Jose.
Yeah.
Sammy D, you're coming in. But no, to Dan's point, and I always try to tell this people to kind of give an olive branches. I'm to your point, Zubair, is we're all doing this for the first time. Regardless of where you are in your life, we're doing this for the first time. We're having our own unique experiences. We can't necessarily relate to somebody that's not going through a similar experience to us. We try to. That's what being a human is, and being empathetic. But at the end of the day, this is our experience. So for us, me and Dan, we're commiserating, listening, and people are that's not hard and this and that. Yeah, of course, it's probably not comparatively, but when you think about it through the lens of an athlete, you grow up only knowing sport. Your professional career is a blink of an eye. Even if you played 10 to 12 years in the NHL or any sport, you're retired at 30. With a lot of times, a lot of guys don't have purpose, don't know what they're doing because you've only focused on this one singular thing. You don't have a lot of kids at Dan's point. You don't have a support system of when you get there of what to do, writing checks, getting a place, this and that. And if you were lucky enough where your parents kind of taught you all that, no one really knows what happens because you're never taught how to be a professional athlete. So you just kind of got to figure it out. And obviously there's more tools now, but especially back then it was just go out and play and have fun. And of course it works out and it's great and we're paid handsomely. And
And
but
you're still young.
But you're young, yeah.
And
So
you're
it's
still
just like
fucking
there's
young.
you don't quite you don't develop mentally. So you're retired and you're like, what now?
Well,
And that's where a lot of the time it's tough.
This is a perfect plug for the app. Should we do it?
Plug the,
I have to get off here, JD.
right,
so I will say thank you for jumping on. Thank you for saying very kind words. I'm glad that my sarcasm helped you a little bit. But
You're
I'm very
a prick,
proud.
but
I'm very
you're
proud
my
of.
prick.
I'm very proud to hear that. Makes me feel good, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. And I have to get off, but thank you for coming on, and our paths will cross again.
100%.
And
This is awesome.
you guys have a nice end to the show.
Enjoy that Modelo.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Keep it. Hey, the 4 handicap. Hey,
I'm down to a 3-4, but anyhow.
We'll play soon.
All right, ciao, boys. Have a good one.
See you, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, like we're still in the development phase. But basically just to give an idea to people is I'm just trying to give kids tools that, I didn't necessarily have or didn't realize were around when I was a kid. And I'm trying to pair that with content from professional athletes and mental health professionals and performance coaches of just giving kids in the youth sports space an outlet. All sports, we're sport agnostic, because I do believe any athlete you talk to, it's all going to be the same message of finding joy in the game. And it is a game and you can only play it for a short amount of time. So enjoy the process, enjoy the routine of it, work hard, develop routines, and just understand of being present and being where your feet are. I think that's where we forget as, we're not taught as kids what presence of mind is. And especially now with social media and phones and we're never been more pulled away from the present moment and thinking about what we have, what we don't have, and what we missed, and realizing what we actually have in the moment. So, for me, I just wanted to build a platform that teaches kids about journaling and breathwork, conscious breathing, learning. Breathwork really saved me and helped me in a lot of respects. As weird as that sounds.
So I totally, sorry to cut you off, bud, but I was asked once at a conference, if you could go back and have a time machine and tell your younger self one thing. And it can't be buy more NVIDIA stock. It's got to be a tool, right?
Not right now. Is it tanking right now?
Yeah, right. So it's got to be a tool. I would say I discovered meditation and breath work in 2016 after going through a lot of therapy. And at that time, for the first time, I had the highest level of emotional regulation and control and presence through breath work. And so, and I came across a book called The Mind Illuminated. Check it out. Great book on breath work as well.
Write that down.
Yeah, by a neuroscientist and then someone who's got a doctorate in traditional meditation practice. And it's so good. And I started doing it. And the great thing about breath work is all you need is your breath. And as long as you're alive, you got that. And you can bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, breath work is work. And that's the thing I think people forget, is that it's a daily kind of practice. And what we're trying to teach is really conscious breathing. The fact that, you breathe around roughly 20 to 25,000 times a day. And we don't even realize that that's what's, keeping you alive for the most part. So, and, 90% of your breaths, I don't want to say, I'll go roughly 70 to 90% of your breaths are the wrong way. And it's not it's simply the fact that you're breathing in the wrong area, and understanding where you're breathing and understanding your breath is the quickest path to presence of mind, but it's also the quickest path to regulating your body, your nervous system. You could be in a heightened state, and a lot of the time people don't realize that these heightened states and these stressful states is the way you're breathing. You stop breathing through your nose, you breathe through your mouth and your shoulders, your neck gets tight, your throat gets tight. You're like, what's going on right now? I don't understand. People go, it's anxiety, it's this and that. Yeah, anxiety stems from that. And but again, it's a lot of your breathing, and just controlling your breathing and understanding the rhythm of it and the cadence is enough to really, it's a tool that I think kids should be having. It should be taught in schools, and we're developing this to kind of give kids the opportunity to just talk about their day. Simple, simply breathe, very consciously breathe, and then they're rewarded with content, but it's content that essentially is from athletes just talking about their story. So we're hoping to maybe even we're trying to figure out to get a research-backed study about because our hypothesis is digesting content from a state of presence of mind will have more of a benefit than if you're rolling out of bed and looking at your phone. So for me, it's trying to find somebody that would want to kind of do the research with us, and because I believe like looking at good content that's like, and we've already filmed probably 70 to 80 clips from MLB players, NHL, Olympic snowboarder, performance coaches. And it's like TikTok videos, but it's for kids. And it's just them saying, hey, this is what I went through. An injury, really dealt with some bad mental health stuff. And this is where I led to, or this is how I overcame my adversity. And hoping it resonates with kids. And it just, it allows them tools to kind of, because our whole thing is I'm not trying to create the next, Dan Boyle, Joe Thornton. I'm just trying to create good versions of people. And if sport becomes, parents should realize that like the more emotionally regulated your kid is, the better they're going to do at anything they decide to do, whatever passion they decide to do, whether it's sport or not sport. But sport is where you learn a lot of. Sport is and I've heard a lot of guys talk about it. Sport is where you learn what you really want to do, and whether you want to do sport or not. But it's where because you're tested mentally, physically, and you really find what you want to do in that little realm. And because it's just about playing, and we're kids, and sport is just play, right? So when you play, you find out, oh, I like this, I don't like this. Here's people I mesh with, I don't mesh with, and yeah, that's where we're going. So we're hoping to launch soon, and
I love it.
In a multitude of different ways, whether it's through coaches that want to use this as a platform to kind of enhance or amplify their vision and voice, or just parents that want their kids to have something that they can hold on to on their phone. They're going to be on there anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
might as well have
this
60-second something to kind of refresh them for the day, kind of show them what the reality is of high level sport, and not like, obviously you want to show the positive aspects, but also I think people don't really they underestimate that there is some negative aspects to playing in the NHL, even if you are making millions of dollars or whatever. Like, there are plenty of negative aspects of that kind of thing. It's not all sunshine and rainbows,
It's not. I mean, look at a lot of the athletes dying, the ones that committed suicide. There's concussions, injuries for life.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 7 surgeries, and countless concussions. It's stuff that, and I'm 37. So I still have hopefully 40 years left of my life, but the effects of that are they're not quantifiable because there's no studies on them, but it's just something that you get the money, which is great, and it's amazing, and you're paid for it and all that stuff. But yeah, there's underlying stuff that happens, and it's just more whether you play one game in the NHL or 20 years, or one game in the MLB or none. The average lifespan of an athlete's 3 to 4 years, and then you got your whole life ahead of you. So I heard a great thing. It's been great for me to do this because the guys I've interviewed, just the insight they've given me on my own life has just been so impactful. Like a guy's just saying that, like, it's, sport is just a grain of sand in kind of your hourglass of life. And we forget that because when you're in it, and it feels like it's forever, but it's a blink of an eye.
Yeah. So most people that listen to this podcast, and Zubair knows and Sheng knows, but I'm an ER doctor. So my job is a doctor, and I never talk
That's
about
amazing.
I never talk about it on the podcast just because I don't like to give out medical advice over podcast kind of stuff, and B, it's like, this is the part of my life that I like to do for fun, and then that part of my life has been always kind of associated with stress, right? So this has always been like the decomp of my life. So But the parallels between like medical school and like athletes is insane, because you are basically, I took one of my last exams that I'll probably ever have to take in my life like 2 years ago, but I sat down, I was 32, and I was like, I've been taking exams for 20 years and trying to get like
nuts.
A's for like 20 years, and then I'm like, holy shit, it's over. Like it's like you're like, it's like you're in it so hard that you don't realize that like that there are other aspects of your life that like have been just kind of consumed by this thing that you do because you think that, or that you're good at it, or you want to do it, you have a passion to do it. But there's a lot more to life than just that. And it's this is why I do this podcast, because stuff like you're talking about, JD, is like and also because I'm a huge Sharks fan, but that's like
You're the interesting one in the group, both of you guys. How the fuck?
I have to go to work in 2
did,
hours, but I never.
How the fuck did you let Sheng Peng and Dan Boyle rope you into this?
Right?
But no, it's true that like I had this summer I had like a lot of like mental health struggles, a lot of anxiety, stuff like that, and I had to take a step back and be like, what am I doing? Like I need to take a break from a lot of things to figure out exactly where I need to go in the future. So it's not like, and people will say like, well, you're a doctor, you make a lot of money, you do, you must have a great life. It's like, yeah, but like to maintain that level, you still have to like be constantly on it. You still have to be like working at a level that is stressful. And I think it catches up to you. And I didn't realize it until probably this summer, honestly, in my life. So, yeah.
Keegan, what got you through that stage? Like, is any tools or support systems?
Therapy.
Like, what got you through that?
Therapy, medications. And then like finally realizing that like the way that I do things or had done things for 20 years is not healthy. Like the way that I would bottle my anxiety, put everything aside, and like, kind of just like keep on going kind of thing doesn't work. Like you'll eventually it'll catch up with you, hit you in the face, and go, oh shit. So it was a bad time. So,
wow. I mean, listen, I always say breathwork is a crazy, crazy experience to really dive into. And you mentioned Mind Illuminated, and thanks for sharing that too. That's raw stuff. And I resonate with that just in the fact that it is true when you don't have those tools, people think it goes away. The more successful or the more A's you get, it just gets worse. You have to deal with it in the now. You have to give your kid, your child, your teenager at 15, the tools to deal with it. Because, we kind of joke that like why we're going towards youth sports is like, we're the adults. We're kind of the end user. We've already developed our bad habits. It's a lot more difficult to break and requires a lot more time and effort. And kids don't have those bad habits. They haven't developed them yet. They're starting to. They're in the process of developing them. You have an opportunity as a society and also parents to find the tools, and whether you do it with them, you sit with your kid and you do breath work, and becomes a fun little game, but that like just teaches them about those methods. And I mean, it's very simple and it's free.
I love this, man. I'm so glad to hear that you're working on this and someone's working on this. And my nephew actually just this week was trying out for a prep school in Southern California for hockey, and he was really nervous at tryout. Said he got diarrhea. I don't know if I should. Sorry if he's listening to this.
Hey man, listen,
I
your
won't
body.
say which one, but like, and his dad's a doctor, and he was like, dude, it's possible to get that from nerves. And
yeah, for sure.
I was like, and he got it the day of, and I was just like, if he had something like this, like, an ability to express himself and be conscious and be present. And, when you do the breath work and you're conscious, I mean, when I used to do it, and again, we can get hippy dippy here. All right. Like let's just dive in. But
people, that's where I always get pissed, is because I was kind of that way, where I was like, oh, that's like, that's the losers do that. Like, and I'm like, no, it's like, like high-end athletes do visualization all the time. We always film the guy that's sitting on the bench with the hoodie over his head. Be like, what's he doing? And then it's like, it doesn't take long. It really, you can regulate your nervous system in 3 to 4 breaths. And that's the thing people don't realize in the studies on it. Like, you can in 20 seconds bring yourself back down to neutral. And at the very least, you've built that kind of ironclad framework for yourself. You can always, no matter how bad your day is going, bring yourself back for at least a moment, and then realize bringing yourself from that ultimate high to that eventual presence, neutral state. And you're going to just realize how good it feels to feel that way. And you're going to want to search that more, and you're going to start doing that breathing more and really looking at how to find that kind of release. And it's work, but it's simple. And it's really just, it's having the capability to, like, again, it's like looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, don't be soft. Like, just do it. Like, you gotta, it's really like it's an ego shedder.
It's also hard to do breath work sometimes when we're most stressed, because then you're like, I don't have the time. It's like 5 minutes, is all you need to start. Before bed. Yeah, before bed. And it's weird because when you need it most is when you find yourself doing it the least, is what I find 100%. With a lot of people. And that's like when you need it the most. The other thing that I think is interesting with breath work is, when you really, like you said, JD, is like you get a deep breath in and you're very conscious and present, you essentially on the neurological level shifted from like lizard amygdala brain into your PFC, your prefrontal cortex. And if you're performing a sport, you're now thinking the game, you're making plays, you're not just overreacting and going high off the glass, right? You're able to also, I think, on the performance level, if you're performing anything, you're able to think more and be more conscious and present.
Yeah.
In the game.
Well, it's the flow state they talk about it. And I'd always explain it. I never understood it till I got into breath work, of like when I was having a really bad game or when you're really stressed and you feel like you have tunnel vision.
Yeah.
You feel like you can see like you can see through a keyhole. So imagine playing a hockey game, feeling like you can see through a keyhole. And that's what anxiety is your vision, just everything narrows.
Yeah.
And versus when I was in a flow state, I would tell people, would say, well, what were you feeling? And I was like, I felt like I was watching the game in whatever, the 4K.
Yeah.
Like, and I felt like I had an extra, like I had eyes in the back of my head. I felt like it was that big, and I was staring at a 3D screen, and I can see everything coming at me. And that's when I felt like I was at my most calm. And that's simply, you're just mentioning it, like neurologically, that is a thing of like being in a heightened state versus being in a more relaxed state in a place of neutrality. And to your, you said it was your nephew?
Yeah.
That was trying out? Yeah. I mean, for the longest time in the NHL, I mean, I probably went to the bathroom before the games, like on game day. Probably like I'd go like 6 to 7 times.
Sure.
And I wouldn't understand why I would be, because that was my anxiety, is I would be so exhausted once the puck was dropped, because I didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get through the feeling. And then near the end of my career, when I figured it out and I would have a ton of energy, I would just work myself up into such a frenzy that I'd be physically exhausted. Like I always say, if you look at the racehorses before they run, and I sat with a couple guys that sell and race them, and you'll see the horse sweating, and they'll be like, that horse is going to have a bad race, because it's so anxious and it's so worked up that your body's just, it's just in a fight or flight. And once you come down from that fight or flight eventually, because that's what your fight or flight is only, it's to get you out of a sticky situation. It's what we're programmed to do. It's the governor. Once that goes away, you basically want to lay under the bed and go to sleep, because you're just so drained.
Yeah. The, that flow state that you mentioned is such an interesting thing, because in anybody's career, whatever they do, but if you are in a heightened state and you have to perform in a heightened state, there is this like when in the ER, when you have like a critically ill patient and you're kind of like making decisions for this patient, you have 10 people around you. There's nurses, there's techs, there's other doctors, there's respiratory therapists, and you're just kind of there, but you can see everything happening around you. And like, it's like you're watching another movie of the situation, and you know what's going to happen in the movie already. So you have to like step back and predict essentially where that movie is going to be in 30 minutes. And that's the kind of state that is if you're anxious, and I've experienced it myself, if you're nervous about that event, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get to be able to predict that movie because you're just thinking about what the next part of the movie is, like what the next, piece of information you're going to get is. You're not going to be able to step back and understand. And the same thing happens in hockey. Like the best players in the world are the best players in the world because they predict the game. They see the game. It's yes, they have physical tools, etc., but they see the game before everybody else does. And that's that's the Gretzky phenomenon 100%. It's they see the game better than everybody else, and that's what makes them the best players in the world.
Wow.
But this has been way more of a deep discussion than I thought we would have today. This is amazing.
Yeah. Also, we went from Sam Dickinson to seeing the movie. I love that analogy. I'm going to have to use that.
Mm-hmm. Can you guys say the guy's name who coined the term flow state? I can never say his name.
Oh, I don't know.
I've read the book too. It's like Shavesky. What's his name? I can never fucking say it.
Shovel day off.
Kevin.
But yeah, I mean, this is great. I wonder if Schenger's going to get mad because we didn't get through all the. Probably.
Well, the people may not like it, but we like it, and I think that's all that matters.
This is super important stuff, and it's not talked about enough.
Yeah. The people might like it.
They might. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you a quick rundown for Schenger. Schenger, this is for you because I do have to leave now because I was staring at the clock. I got to go do coast to coast.
Yep.
Yeah. Timothy Liljegren, very underrated. I think he's a big piece on this team, more than people think.
Absolutely.
I think he's stepped up and he's coming into his role. Mario's always going to do Mario. You know exactly what you're going to get from Mario, and I think his off-ice stuff is a lot more impactful than people think.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him in the room. He's just a great teammate. Desharnais, great penalty killer. Is shored up a lot of things for them on the PK and can help. And I think he's been good at times, and I like him. We talked Mukhamadullin. I think Mukhamadullin he's a hybrid of what I think they wanted Mirko Mueller to be, and also Vlasic. I think he could be a mix of the two.
I like it.
I don't know if he's going to be to the level of Vlasic for that run that Marc Edouard went on, but I see a lot of similarities in that and the way he moves and his stick check is very good, very, very efficient with it. And then who am I missing?
I mean, well, let's talk about Mook's first pass for like a second. Also, kind of.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yeah.
For the fans at home, he was icing it. He had no idea what he was doing there. And
that was a quick turn, but he's done it before, though. That's not
I love the kid, but that was when it's too much of a seed that you're like his eyes were between his legs.
Yeah,
and I think it just
stick checker.
And maybe good for him because as a D man, you should realize that when the guy's coming out of the box, and if you're on that puck to throw it to that position, just throw it up the middle. If it's open because you're hoping the guy's there. So maybe he did do that. I mean, he does have 4 points in 5 games. So
yeah, and
maybe I'm the asshole here and he's the smart one.
I also want to point out the games that he's played in. It was the Vegas game where he had 2 points, and the Sharks played one of the best games of the year. They lost the game, but they played one of the best games. And then he's played in the New Jersey game where they won, Colorado where they won, Seattle where they dominated. They lost the Detroit game, but that was I think the shootout. So he's been just every time that he's on the ice, it feels like he's rounding out the team in a way that they really need.
Yeah, I didn't like him with Orlov at all. So I like him
with Sammy D.
Yeah, I like him more with a young kid. He needs a guy I think that can make more plays because he's very simple. And I just think he needs a guy that can skate the puck out of trouble too. So I like it. I like what they're doing. I like the decor. Schenger, go fuck yourself. And reach out, guys, if
absolutely
you need to chat about anything else ever.
And keep us updated with the app. I'm going to pass it to I got 1 defenseman and 3 goalies as nephews, so they need the app.
And
I love it. 12 to 18-year-olds.
Hit me up for research things because I have done a fair amount of medical education research, which is similar to athlete research. So
I'd love it if you want to get a science-backed study. That'd be awesome. Let's go get some grants.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
love it.
Woo!
That's the real money right there.
Go Sharks.
Go Sharks.
Thanks, JD.
Yeah, send me just send me an email. Both
Sounds
of you,
good.
you have it. All right.
We'll do.
Thanks, guys.
See you, bud.
See ya.
All right. Well, we'll have
What
to
a show,
round it
man.
out. Great show. Absolutely. I mean, that's stuff that I feel like needs to be talked about. And I love that JD has been sharing his experience and through his own experience, wanting to help other people deal with stuff that he dealt with. And I just love that. So great.
Yeah, and he's been on the show before, and he mentioned playing in that game, and we had some stuff, but it just for him to really go out there and lay it all out of what was going on in the background. And I think we had him on 2 years ago, so it's a little bit closer to when he was playing. So it's, now that he's a little bit more removed, he's looking back and seeing the things that he really needed to go forward in his career. So that's awesome. I'm just didn't expect it for today's episode, but yeah, that was great. And also them and Boyle just talking. That was great.
That was so good. So good. I know.
I feel like sometimes as, we're the podcast co-hosts, me, you, Shang, and Dan and stuff, but like we kind of, as a fan, I know what like people want to listen to, and I can just see people listening to them too talk, and this old Sharks fans are just going to be so happy. So
yeah. I mean, that this is something that I told Dan last week, actually, after the pod, and I wanted to say today, but after JD was talking about Dan Boyle and kind of the way he was a good teammate and he leaned on him, I told him, I was like, dude, you've just been a great teammate, like on this podcast even. Like he's just for the boys all the time. Like he can't not be for the team. And I fucking love that about him. So it's been great working with him too. All right. So we have a couple of touching points. You want to just talk a little bit about the game? And, Sharks have been playing good hockey. We could just geek out and overreact for a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's been a long time since I have felt not confident in the team, but like that.
Are you scared to be confident, Keegan? Because I am. Are you scared to be confident?
I'm scared. I'm like a little. I'm getting a little bit like, wait, I think they're gonna play well tonight. Like that kind of. Wait a minute, hold on, step back.
Yeah, I go toe to toe and beat the good teams, and then like a team that's still a playoff team, like smoke them.
Yeah.
And the feeling that I was getting was like, again, this is an overreaction, and I'm still scared, cautiously hopeful for the Sharks right now. But they look good, and I was thinking about that scene in like Moneyball when like nothing's working, and then the coach played by Philip Seymour Hoffman's like gone, and they start finally playing the system that was built. And I feel like that's happening, and then you're seeing like Askarov like do what we know he could do.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, when you also got the goalie, and then the D, like, dude, I think like, what is it? The last 4 games, less than 2 goals per game average.
Yeah.
Like 2 goals, 2 goals, 1 goal. Like the D clicked. Yeah. And then
2
the
or
offense
fewer
has been firing all season.
Yeah.
So
an insane run. I mean, like, I wanted the Sharks to be 500 by Christmas. Like that was like I hope that they can do this kind of thing. And they're getting there. 5-6-3 right now, but a lot of those were just the first 6 games of the season, just terrible.
And if it wasn't for goaltending, like I said, we'd be a 500 team. We have a couple of games that were on goaltending, which hopefully, like, I don't think it's going to be completely shored up, but as long as we're trending upward, which all the players, even Dickinson, Askarov, they are all trending upward.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a good test to play Winnipeg this Friday and kind of see how the Sharks fare against them. They're a bigger, heavier team than I think we've played of the top teams that we've played from New Jersey to Colorado. And they got a lot of depth, great goaltending. I think that's going to be probably the biggest challenge so far.
Yeah, elite goaltender with good depth, good offensive. Yeah, like just really is a playoff team for sure, and that's big test. I like just everybody's kind of fitting in to roles better, and roles is what we talk about on the show all the time. But you don't have to have Barclay Goodrow being on the second line. You don't have to have like Ferraro eating every minute under the sun. He's playing a lot of minutes, but it's different when like you can't lean on other pairings and you just have to put out Ferraro because he's the only one who can even like tread water, you know. So
No,
I just like
absolutely.
that things are starting to fit a little bit more of a team because you could still have Celebrini, and like we saw last year, he was a rookie, but you know, there need to be a team behind him, and now it feels like there is, and he's
taken the team.
Yeah,
He's
it's
dragging
insane.
them into the fight. It's insane to watch it unfold before our eyes because, frankly, I'm not shocked at what Celebrini's doing. I'm shocked at how early he's doing it. I think we all knew this was coming. I did not expect this to be in the first quarter of the sophomore season. And he's going to dirty areas. He's like all over the place. Like Shang said, he's more vocal. He's really taking the reins and running with this right now. And I think what else that I'm seeing, which is infectious, and we've talked about it pretty much most of this podcast, is what can happen when you gain a little confidence.
Yeah.
Right? Like all of a sudden these guys are like you said, I love what you said is I think people know their role. They're like, and someone's like, I don't need to be, you know, Macklin Celebrini. He could be Macklin. And Will's like, I just need to be me. I need to be Will. And to your point, they've all sort of found their roles. And you've said this about Greer and, you know, Greer's staff. And, you know, they like archetype of players is something that you've said before. And I think I can see that playing out where, you know, he's got his archetypes and everyone's got a role and they're playing systems that are working and the confidence is there. Like they had swagger the last game. I didn't see that trepidation of like, no, we're going to lose in the third period.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, let's go play our game. They killed those penalties. I thought that was a huge win last night. They were just strong in the PK. It's confidence too.
Yep. And
so
the right players in the right place, right? We know what Graf is good at. We know what even, you know, I was really harsh on Goodrow this summer, but we know what he's good at. And he's playing the role that he's good at. He doesn't have to be more than that. And we know what Reeves is good at. I mean, he's injured right now, but like playing the role that he's made for. Kurashev's adding some secondary scoring. There's just a lot of what you wanted guys to do when you signed them, brought them in, whatever. They're doing that thing. Like they're not having to be, you know, all-stars or like have to be more than that. They're just, this is what you brought them in for. They're doing it. Klingberg's playing on the power play. He's doing it. Like I like that. It's just been a long time since we've had this kind of thing.
Absolutely. And you know, one other thing that I just wanted to sort of comment on that I haven't seen the Sharks I actually can't tell you the last time I've seen the Sharks do it, even during their good years, where they are initiating physicality. Sharks have always been known, like, even during the jumbo era of like, you know, those great years where it's like, we need guys to protect our guys. We need guys to stand up against other teams. When we have Revo and Orlov in the lineup and then Celebrini on the forecheck, they're initiating physicality. They're not protecting their guys like that Rempe fight. Like they're like, let's go. Like I'll blow this guy up and then I'll protect. Now Rempe's sticking up for his guy. And I think that's just a whole different psychological approach to the game where it's like, and I love Orlov's game where he's like hitting people and he's like, it's part of the game. He almost just looks like not fazed by blowing people up. And he looks very like, we haven't had someone like that since Kyle Burrows. Burrows had some good hits, but Orlov can actually make the passes out and has the poise and the skating ability, but he looks great out there. I've been loving Orlov's game all season actually, and he just keeps getting better as well.
Yeah, and Desharnais too. I think there's been times last season when I think the Sharks were playing poorly at the end of the year there after they got Desharnais. So it was tough to really judge him, but I didn't expect him to be like an every night player, but we've had some injuries, so he's been in most nights. And he plays well, like in that role, in that six spot, physical D-man, push people out of the net. That's what he's good at, and he can do it. So he stopped people up at the blue line. That's his role, and he can do it. So no notes on that one too. I like him as well.
Yeah, and like JD said, he's looked good on the PK too. His stick work, I mean, just that reach.
Yep.
He's got significant reach, and he uses it to close out lanes and with his stick. So he looks great too. And I think that was the final touch, right? It was like the PK was pretty brutal at the beginning of the season, and we had to fix it. And last night it looked great against a good power play team.
Delandry stepped up a lot too, like just actually being a good. Like last year was not his best year either, and a lot of improvement out of him this year too. So, man, all sunshine and rainbows over here on the Sharks Hockey podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. We gotta take it when it comes. Soak in that vitamin D, and
I know.
Yeah.
The last topic that we had for our actual topics, I think, was the Sharks have to make a decision soon on a D-man, essentially, because people are going to come back from injury, and we have, I can't even count, how many D-men total do we have?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
10, I guess. Yeah, 10.
And they're playing well, and I think this is the construction of Mike Greer, creating competition. What are your thoughts, Keegan? What do you think? Who?
I honestly don't know. Like, I think Ioreo's been decent, but I think he's still pretty young. Like, he's 22, and he's shown some. Like the first couple games were a little rough. I think like it was not loving his game there.
Absolutely.
But I think he's come up a little bit. So, and I know that last time Greer claimed a guy off waivers, he kept him. Like, he didn't just re-waive him. It was Emberson, right? He played him in and out of the lineup. He didn't just re-waive him. So I wouldn't say that he's going to re-waive him right now. So, that means we're still stuck with trying to figure out who goes where. And I guess maybe it really depends on how long Nick Leddy is out for more than anything. But I don't think you can make an argument to take anybody out of the lineup besides Iorio, so it probably would have to be him or Leddy. Yeah. But I doubt that they would put Leddy over him.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I don't have any more comments than that. I think that is what would make the most sense. He's the least experienced in terms of time with the team. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I guess the final thing is we both agree Misa's gonna stay, just to close out that.
I hope so.
That thought. I hope so too.
Yeah, I'm sad that he's got injured this week, because I think he could have had a good. I think he could have helped, right? They're playing with 11 guys up front because he's not out there. I think that he could have helped. I've seen more positive than negative from him, and yes, he didn't score in that game where he had 8 shots in 10 minutes, but it's super fucking hard to get 8 shots in 10 minutes in the NHL regardless. If there's guys that we've been trying to get as, prospects to play in the NHL, Bordelot and Gushin and even Cardwell, even to get shots in the NHL in those limited minutes means that you're in the right space to get it on net. So keep him there. He's gonna score goals. It's just a matter of time. He scored 70 goals last year or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was insane.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. All right. And then we are going to look at a prospect. Is that right?
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Right?
It's been a long time.
So
I have 2 to talk about, but one Sharks prospect, one not Sharks prospect, and I'll be kind of quick. But these are 2 guys that I took a look at this week. First guy is the non-Sharks prospect is Albert Smits, who is a 2026 draft eligible. He has too many S's in his name. He ends with S and then starts with S and ends with S. It's my biggest takeaway. Too many S's. But no, he's a left-handed D-man playing in Finland in the Finnish men's league. And the Finnish men's league, which for the 2010s was pretty good, at developing and getting guys to come out of that league into the NHL, has kind of taken a little bit of a hit in terms of its reputation. Guys like Puljujärvi and Kakko and stuff like that, where they dominate that league and then they don't really make it too far in the NHL, have kind of put the brakes on just how good the league is in terms of prospecting circles. But it's still hard to get minutes in that league as a D-man, as a forward, hard to get significant minutes. So Albert Smits is playing 20 minutes a night. He's put up, I gotta recheck it because last I checked it was impressive. He's at 10 points in 19 games in the Finnish Liga, which, again, for a 17-year-old defenseman is really, really good. So I wanted to take a look at him. because those kind of numbers are like Miro Heiskanen numbers. Would be like the last guy, and he's got it. Like, I think this is one of those guys that we think we didn't really peg as like a top 30 guy, and then based on what he's done so far, he's gonna end up like a top 10 guy. 6'3", great skater. Yes, he's a lefty, but likes to activate, likes to push play, physical too. He can hit people. Some questions about his just ability to read the ice right now, but again, Finnish league, they play pretty fast. Like, it's just a very chaotic style of play.
Okay.
Chaotic, fast, moving, big ice. So it's a little different than the NHL style. So it's hard to really tell what he's going to be at the NHL. But the tools are there, the skating's there, physical, great shot as well. So look out for Albert Smits as a guy that's going to sneak into the top 10. I think maybe a Sharks, range if they're in the bottom 5 this year, or bottom 10 even. We'll see how good we are, but.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, even if we hit, like, I think Sharks are on pace for like 76 points. I mean, that still puts us bottom 10, I believe. Probably. So, like, and I heard, like, when I was looking at the prospects over the summer, and you would know better. So, like, to you, Keegan, I heard this is the year to get our key defensemen.
There are so many good-looking defensemen.
Right? Yeah, and a lot of right-handers. Yeah.
Yep. A lot of right-handers. Got Keaton Verhoff playing well. Ryan Lynn is good. We got Daxon Rudolph. We have Albert Smits. There's a lot of D-man that are going to go in the top 10. So good year to have a top 10 pick. I wouldn't be upset if they were too good to have a top 10 pick, but it would be a good year to snag another D-man because we need it. For sure.
All right. And then who is the Sharks prospect you watched this week?
Yeah. Focusing on defense because we are always looking to improve that position. I took a look at Eric Polkamp this week out of Denver. Let's go.
My boy.
You like Polkamp.
So my wife and I, we met in Minnesota, which is actually where I am now. And I was here for a pond hockey tournament, and her first job out of grad school was at Bemidji State. So when Polkamp got drafted by the Sharks and he was at Bemidji State, I was like, that's kind of fun. Let me watch him. And so, we were watching him with like a little more keen of an eye, and I was like, dude, this kid's awesome. Yeah. Like, this kid's great. Like, and then I think he made it as like the last defenseman on the U.S. junior team, and then obviously. Yeah, he played limited minutes, but he was good in those minutes and impactful. And then obviously went to DU, and my sister actually went to grad school in DU. And so, like, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, let me follow him through there. And then I think he was prospect of the week last week, but I love his game. And I have some comments from a friend at DU that actually added some thoughts, but let's kick it back to you. But you know me, I'm a big Polkamp guy.
Yeah, no. And I think it's a super interesting story. Like, he's drafted in the 5th round, 2023, as an overager out of the USHL. So he'd already played a season before. Had put up almost 20 a game in the USHL. Went to Bemidji State, great year, and then made the World Junior team. Played a few games, but very limited ice time. But it looked good. Like you said, he did not look out of place. They liked. He's just kind of a dog. He's physical. He is a rush focused offensive defenseman. Loves to put the puck on net. I think that part of his game is the part that both I really like and also kind of scares me. And here's why. So it's like the parts of his game that are really good. He's physical. He's fat. He skates really well. He carries the puck well. He likes to get the puck on net, and he's got a great looking shot on the power play. The problem is all of those things are generally reserved for your Dan Boyles. They're reserved for your like PP1 guys. They're reserved for your Cale Makars. They're reserved for the best players, the best defensemen you have in your NHL squad, right? So because they're the best at it. So he's really good at them at the NCAA level. That's what scares me though, is like for him to be effective playing that style, he's gonna, like, a coach would have to believe that he is the best at doing those things. And I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that's what worries me a little bit about it, is like it's another jump, right? NCAA, AHL, and NHL, and you don't want him to lose that Eric Polkampness, but it's the Eric Polkampness that, like, if he's not doing that, I do worry that maybe there isn't going to be as effective an NHL D-man there if he's not playing on the power play, and if he's not just trying to get pucks on net at all moments. So pluses and minuses with him, but I do love his game. Like you mentioned, it's infectious. It's like watching I don't know.
It's a little cannonball.
Yeah, a little cannonball. Exactly. It's infectious hockey.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch.
So one of the things I told Shangers when I started watching him more closely is I was like, this guy's going to get 400 games in the show. And the reason I said it was because at that point he didn't have the shot he has now. He still had a good shot, but his shot now is like, whoa. Like, it's a fast, quick, heavy shot. It's a great shot. And at that point too, you know, I've heard him talk about this where, you know, he was training more like I believe he grew up playing football. So he, you know, he's like a little stocky, like running back sort of profile. And apparently he's been changing the way that he trains as well the last couple of years. And I think you can see that on the ice and the way he's been playing. But I can see him, look, we talked about this a little bit last week when you weren't here and we missed you for this discussion, but you know, I have a bit of a hot take where it's like, I would rather have in a deep playoff run. I think the teams that go deep in playoffs, like Final Four, conference final teams, they tend to have, because there tends to be a bit of a trade-off because not everyone has like a Makar or a Quinn Hughes, but like the Ekholms and the Ekblads, like those defensemen do really well. And then you have like, you know, not guys that are going to blow up offensively like a Dan Boyle, but like a Montour or a Forsling. And I can see him becoming like a depth guy that can have a good pass, doesn't need to necessarily play on the power play, but is like, you know, like even a Gudas. Like, I can see him developing into that type of player.
I get what you're saying, where there's like the physicality's there, the effort's there. Like, obviously Gudas is like a unicorn in terms of physicality, but like, there's enough that you're right. Like, and he's going to be like so maybe I'm a little bit too pessimistic on that front where like, oh, he's got to be PP1, but there is like, he's going to be a coach's favorite because like the kid, he's going to play games because the coach is going to be like, yeah, go out there and fucking play hockey. So I think it's going to take some time in the AHL to really get pro hockey and be effective offensively. That's, you know, he's playing a north-south game that like, it's going to need time to really bring something offensively, but you're right. The cannonballness cannot be taken away from Eric Polkamp.
The effort. Like, I see him as like a deeper guy on the team, but like when he gets his chances, he's going to bury. But the chances may not be as frequent, and I don't think he'll be PP1. But boys are going to love him. Like, you know, like So I think he's got a big personality from what I hear too. Like a Ferraro type. You know, just like. Boys love him, high energy. I actually talked about him with a friend of mine, Andrew Wong, shout out, who's actually at DU, and said he did like a little training camp for like young hockey players. And Paul Camp came out and he was like, he's just the nicest guy. Like, and you know, he works super hard off the ice, super hardworking kid. I mean, so I saw him. I never saw him as like your number one, number two D man. Yeah, but I do see him as like. I love the Panthers because they don't have like a number one D-man, if you will, but they got a lot of really good D-men. And the Sharks also, like, you know, we may not need, like, we all want Schaefer, but, you know, if we get a bunch of really, like, you get Shakir, you get Dickinson, and these guys are all like 40-point, 30-point, even 25-point defensemen that can all play both sides of the puck and just defend really well, make good breakout passes, score the occasional goal when you need it timely. That's a great hockey team. I think what we learned with Edmonton and Florida in the finals these last couple of years is you don't need the Makar to win a championship. And if the Sharks don't get that guy, hopefully we get Verhoff. But if we don't, like, and we get a bunch of guys like this, I'm happy with the Sharks decor.
Yeah, there's still pieces to be added for sure, and I think they're gonna look pretty aggressively in the trade market to try and get another offensive piece on the right side. But you're right, guys like Polkamp and it's easier to play Polkamp in the NHL than it is to play Cagnoni, even just based on like they're both smaller defensemen, but Polkamp's got a better frame, more physicality. There's an obvious offensive creativity with Cagnoni that beats Polkamp's, but it's a little bit easier to plug and play a guy like that because his game is pretty simple. It's not like it's super complicated, and he has the physicality to back it up. It's just all about that next level. There's a lot of guys that can do this in the NCAA need to go to the AHL, and that seems to be like just cliche statements, but you can see it in just the way that certain dudes play. That I think there'll be an adjustment period, but you never know. I've been wrong many, many times in prospecting. But I like him. I don't want to dismiss his accomplishments because he's just infectious hockey is the best way to put it. And I love players like that. I often will watch a guy and just go, damn, he's a fun dude to watch, and not be fun as in he's, dangling between the legs and doing a whole bunch of crazy shit on the ice and backhand soft passes. No, he's playing physical as hell, getting the puck on net.
Yeah.
So
he was great at the rookie tournament. I mean, it's a rookie tournament.
Yes.
So don't look too much into it. But he was when you put him with those guys, and I love that for his development. They're it wasn't even a question. He's like, I'm going back to DU. I'm going to go back. I'm going to work on I know he seems like he has, and the Sharks seem to do a really good job of this, is where, the Sharks development team is keeping tabs on everyone and talking to them throughout the year and telling them what they need to work on in all areas. And it seems like that, it looks like they have a pretty clear understanding of the player they want him to be. And obviously DU's a great program as well. So
yeah,
I agree.
Z Booyam, and then now gets to be the guy there. And he had a hat trick earlier in the year as well. So
I think, low key dark horse for the Hobie.
Yeah, there's a couple dudes that might beat him out, but he's up there. I won't say he's
up
not.
there. Yeah.
I think it would be he'd have to. I think there's another level it needs to get there, but man, because there's guys playing and like the Charlie Serrato has 20 points in 8 games or something stupid.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the actual number is, but there's guys that because it's probably the best NCAA in a long time. Get so many dudes from the OHL or the WQ that just came over.
Yeah.
Every roster I'm looking at, I'm like, that's a first round pick. That was a first round pick. That's a first round pick. It will be a first round pick. It's just been the NCAA this is a banger year for them for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a really good point. Well,
and he's doing it against that competition. So I mean, they haven't played the best teams. I will say that too. I think they have. I think they played B. Let me look back. I think his hat trick was against. His hat trick was against Bentley University. So I'm not gonna hype that up enough. They did play BC and they won 7-3. He did have a goal in that game as well. I watched the Bentley University game and then his last game against Alaska Anchorage, which he had a goal and assist in that game. So I love what he brings, and it's a testament to the Sharks drafting to get him in the 5th round. That was a really good pick.
Absolutely.
It was a little off the board. Not even off the board. He was around that range, but people were like, who the hell's Eric Polkamp?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also what we don't, I try to always emphasize it. It's just not the scouting. It's the development that goes with it with this organization. Where not only they pick the guys, and I think you said it perfectly. It's like archetypes. They kind of know the role on a team, and then they're like, let's develop that, and let's teach these kids professional details that you can't overlook to play in the NHL, and then also while maintaining your character profile. And I think they have a clear map for what they want from him, and I see it as Forsling, late bloomer, gonna have to learn it. Like you said, I think there's gonna be adjustments, but I think that effort, that everything else is there, and it'll come out over time. And I think he's getting 400 games in the show. I said it a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever, when he was at Bemidji, and I'm like, This kid's got it. Like he just has it, and it will come out over time. I think given the opportunity, which I hope they give him. So I would love to end on pole camp. So
Yeah, no, I think that's a great, and just statistically, if you look back through the, if you're interested in like looking at like former drafts and how what people make it from like the fourth through seventh rounds, it's generally overagers, people who were passed up in a previous draft that are doing very, very well, or it's like an undersized forward that is a little bit of a late bloomer that like has got offensive skills, but was picked really late because they're undersized. It's not unanimously those guys. Like obviously you can still get your seventh D man from the sixth round and stuff like that, but like those are the guys that you get the 400 games from in the NHL is your overagers and then just that super late offensive bloomer. So it's a great pickup.
Yeah, that's actually really smart. One of my favorite stats is like the number one largest cohort of players in the NHL, I believe, is first round, second is second round picks, third is undrafted.
Yep.
So like, Dan Boyles.
You're Dan Boyles. But it's the 4th through 7th round is generally you don't get, there's like a handful of dudes that make it out of all of the 4th through 7th round.
Yep.
Not the majority, but a large amount of them were undrafted the previous year. And then just a little bit of a late bloomer, they get it and they keep developing, like you said, into those players. So, and goalies come from the late rounds a lot, but goalies are voodoo. Nobody knows what happens to them.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is a long episode, but I think this was very successful.
Keegan, good times, buddy. I'll see you soon. Bye.